Abercrombie CEO accused of global trafficking ring of models. Epstein and Diddy connection. Oh my goodness gracious. We have found an evil villain. This guy, I swear to God, this guy looks like he comes from a goddamn like animation movie. Like this guy seems scary as fuck. I would not step anywhere close to this. He looks terrifying.
Bada bing, bada boo.
Bada bing, bada boom.
When you walk into a store, just know that they might be watching you. And there is so much that we are telling the store owners by just walking through a store. 90% of us will turn right once we're inside the store. That's after you get past the decompression zone. That's what they call it. It is the zone right before the exit that is just big enough that the average customer walking in will transition from being outside, all the noises of the cars honking, the parking lot mess, to now getting ready to spend money. It is timed so that you feel comfortable enough inside this new space. Then most of us turn right, which means some stores will take advantage of that. They will guide you counterclockwise.
Have you got a Twitter group? I don't use Twitter. No.
Through the architectural flow of the entire layout. The first wall you hit is the high power wall, which means stores will place items that they want to sell on the first aisle or wall the customer stops on.
You know what the funny thing is? That I always turn left when I go to a store. I barely ever turn right unless I know there's something specific right. My default is left.
It's not going to be the best items, but the good items. The best items are actually scattered throughout the store to make sure that you walk through every single aisle looking for them. Side note, stores intentionally put small traffic blocking obstacles that are not a major inconvenience, but slow the customer down so that they can encourage browsing. So you're running.
I love that these tactics are not in my country. Very fascinating.
Around the store trying to find the best items, but the really good ones, the really good products are near the left side, right before you check out.
I go left.
This is when our carts are already full and we know that we already went over budget, but this one thing is so irresistible that we can't even say no. I mean, it's for the end. That's why they leave it there.
No, I'm not going.
But what you really came here for, the eggs, the milk, it's going to be at the very back of the store so that you're forced to go all the way through the back. You can't just grab what you need and go. You have to linger inside the store.
Okay, that's crazy.
Retail psychology.
Yeah.
Speaking of, if you want your customers lingering, you're going to want to play slower music.
They are right in that sense, but I think, I don't know, like cold products, I have always thought it makes sense that they put the cold products in the back, and it's not really that crazy back either, at least for my grocery. I don't know how it's in America, because when we enter the grocery store, we have first fruits and vegetables. That's what you get first, fruits and vegetables, and then like pressed juices. And that makes sense to me. The first thing you go through is fruits and vegetables. And then you get to bakeries. Then you get to bread and bakeries. And then you get to the back where they hold the cold stuff, where it is colder, generally colder. And that's where they have the open butcher line. They have milk, they have cheeses. You know, that makes sense. They have the freezing spot like for frozen dishes and frozen pizza and stuff. It makes sense because that area is for cold products, and it's generally is a little bit colder there. Now, it doesn't make sense if it's colder there, but it's just, I feel like it's more fitting to have that in the back end instead of exactly at the entrance. You know what I mean? And I find it more like, I don't know, like I would rather, I want to stack my vegetable first, and it's more refreshing to see your vegetables at the first entrance than anything else. I know that when I went to, I think it was Lithuania, the first thing you saw, I believe, whenever you went into the grocery store was alcohol. I think. I think either it was Lithuania or it was somewhere else, which was very interesting. You saw vodka, you saw wine. I was like, damn, who the fuck needs vegetable? Let's get drunk, baby.
Or if you want them to get everything they need and leave or make impulse purchases, make the tempo of the music faster. Add splashes of red, which subconsciously create a sense of urgency.
If bread and milk was in front, no one would impulsively buy it. The thing is that for me, bread is basically an alien front because you have vegetable and then bread. And yeah, I don't know.
And remember, eye level is buy level, meaning whatever you want to sell the most, items with the highest margins that you're trying to get
Happy
off the
Women's
shelves,
Day.
you're going to want to put it at eye level with the consumer. When you walk through the children's aisle with your children or your nieces, in my point, what's at your eye level is not what they're trying to sell you. I mean, yeah, they're trying to sell it to you, but what they're really trying to sell you is at what it's eye level with your child. One thing stores do not ever forget, at least the good stores, is the smell. You know that amazing smell when you walk into a coffee shop?
Oh.
Most of it is coffee aroma pumping through the HVAC systems.
Oh my God.
It's not just their coffee machines. Some department stores will even pump different scents in different sections of their store. Coconut scent in their bikinis and vacation wear section.
They are so right on this. They're so right. And you know what, like a lot of like food places do? They have like ventilation systems so that whenever like the smell of their food will go out to the streets. Like, so that whenever you go by, you will smell it. The same does bakeries, like bread bakeries and like pastry stuff places. They will have like an airflow going out of their like back end, so that the smell of fresh goods are going outside, so people will be more likely to go in. Is it Women's Day today? Yes, it is Women's Day today.
Lilac in their lingerie departments. But there is one store that takes it even further. The mandatory number to spritz the cologne is 10. Several inches from the close, every single hours. Spritz, 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 spritz. 10 sprays each. After the 9th spritz, it feels more appropriate to just put the bottle of cologne through a hose system and spray down the clothes. It's like a mushroom cloud, puff of smoke that every time everybody walks in, it's just the strongest scent. I mean, I'm sure at first it could be a good scent, but the employees of the store that are surrounded by this scent 40 hours a week, you might as well mix Windex and lemon with musk and call it Abercrombie Fierce.
They spray 10 times per hour?
The nicer stores have a system that spritzes the perfume automatically on a timer. Heavy-duty commercial machines that spritz the perfume.
But like that's 10 times at one section.
Yes.
And they do it throughout the whole store.
Throughout.
God damn.
What?
Some employees complained that by the end of their day, their eyes were blood red and their nails even felt like they were gonna fall off because they're brittle, just because of how strong and toxic the scent is and how it's filled to the brim with alcohol in the air. But that is the price to be hot. That and a button-down shirt that's supposed to be worn with 3 buttons open, skinny jeans that are cuffed at 1.25 inches, and hairstyles that are supposed to be kept natural and well kept. That is the price of hot.
Being hot hurts. We can all agree with that. Being hot hurts. You gotta eat in a way that fucks you up. You gotta put a lot of weird shit on your face, on your hair. You gotta wear outfits that may even be cold or way too warm, or shoes that are uncomfortable, things that are uncomfortable because it looks better. The sacrifice of being hot always hurts. And like these guys are being eye candy, and that makes sense.
According to Abercrombie's employee lookbook, that's what they want you to look like. The store is fascinating. I mean, they're no longer like this, but back then they were known in the mall for having 2 shirtless guys standing outside the door trying to, I guess, telepathically convince you to come in through their abs. Once you walk in, the clothes, they're terrible quality. Or maybe they're not. It's hard to say when it's completely dark inside. The music is blasting so loud you can barely hear yourself think. The smell is so nauseating after a few minutes. And the employees who are required to say, "What's up?" within 15 seconds of you walking in, suddenly they're standoffish. They don't really want to help you. One former employee said, "At the time, Abercrombie trained its employees to purposely ignore and not help and be snotty to its customers. It creates like a too good image, and it was encouraged."
That's crazy. Is that true?
Yes, and they were also told to not apologize for not having plus size sizes. They said, "Don't be sorry."
I mean, I don't know what kind of store this is, but whenever you buy a luxury products, I don't think you expect to have plus size like sizes anyways, because they're designed for specific models. And the reality is that they tend to not extend that because the look will be very different.
Don't tell the customer you're sorry.
What?
The whole idea of Abercrombie is the work of then CEO Michael Jeffries, the quote-unquote mad genius behind the brand, who has now been arrested for sex trafficking.
Oh.
With alleged connections to potentially Diddy, but also to Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh my God, he worked with the two bad ones. So he could be the third. Amazing. Cinema. Absolute cinema. I'm interested. I'm very interested in this story. Y'all know I love modeling. I love clothes. I love a lot of this shit. So this was really interesting. I haven't heard about this guy at all. Maybe I have, but I'm not really sure. I don't remember. Foxy? No, not really.
We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. They are volunteer-based and provide free medical care and humanitarian aid.
That's nice.
This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team. And we'd also like to thank you guys for your continued support as we work on our mission to be worthy advocates. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. Some quick disclaimers for today's ongoing case. Updates are developing as we speak, so the information is current up to the publishing date.
So this is fresh news.
Some statements have been shortened for time. Additionally, this case is quite heavy in regards to illicit forced substance abuse, essays, trafficking. Anything we state, though, in today's episode, specifically when we cover what alleged victims have stated to the media, the news outlets, detailed in their lawsuits, and even the federal indictment, they are all just allegations right now. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in the court of law, and the people in question have pled not guilty. So with that being said, let's get started. Do you ever just watch someone and you think, oh, that's so interesting? Why do they do something like that? Michael Jeffries just is a fascinating person. He does very fascinating things. He goes through the revolving doors twice. He has to go through it twice. He can't just get off after the first round. He has to go through it twice. He never passes others on stairwells, even if he's late. He doesn't like to pass them by the side and go in front of them.
Wait, hold on. The revolving doors?
Yeah.
He takes a 360 plus more.
Yes. Yes. He parks his Porsche every single day at the same angle in the same parking spot, and he wedges his key in between the car seats and leaves the doors unlocked. He's a pair of lucky shoes. If he has to read something important, like a financial document.
So I have OCD, so I can kind of understand him in a way, but this is some crazy ass OCD. Like this is like psycho level kind of way. Like this is whenever you're talking about a serial killer, like they're written like this. Like they're always written like this. Like I remember in JoJo, Kira in like season 4 of like season 4 of JoJo, like that villain was perfect, but he was written exactly like this. He wakes up a normal day and he follows this routine. Everybody follows their routine. The psycho for sure, yeah.
He will put those shoes on. He will not read it in any other footwear. This is his footwear of choice. But right now,
JoJo reference?
He's with a journalist
I love JoJo.
Named Benoit. And the two of them are walking through an Abercrombie store, passing all the big blown up pictures of the shirtless abs all over the walls. And he's asking Benoit, the journalist, how does the store look? How does it feel? How does it smell? These are the things that I'm obsessed with. He walks up to the mannequins. We're just not there, guys. He's yelling at his employees. No, we're not. The music is blasting. He's practically screaming over it. For some reason, they don't just lower the music, not even a decibel. He's pointing at the mannequin in the woman's clothes. The jeans are too high. The jeans have to be lower, and we need to make the legs look skinny, okay? Should we clip the back of the knees or something? We need it bigger at the top and skinnier at the legs. That is much easier, okay? It's gonna be much, much better. Then he turns his attention to the male mannequin. How much more rugged and masculine can we make this one look? A bunch of assistants run over. Make the jeans look a little bit bigger in the leg, you know? Good. Oh, that's good, that's good. He looks cooler now. He's got more attitude. That's what we're looking for, more attitude. And look at this. Look at this. We need to fix this guy's package. Someone come stuff him. He's talking about that package.
You're talking about mannequin?
Yeah. A female assistant runs over to try and poof up the private area of that mannequin. Now lower the pants some more. The pants need to be much, much lower. Get them as low as we can without them falling off.
Imagine working minimum wage for a person like this. I feel like they're not. I don't know. Maybe they are. Perhaps they are. But again, I don't know what the situation is because it's saying sex trafficking and ring of models. Right? So what's the situation for them? Because I feel like if you're a model, I feel like you're getting a little bit more than a minimum wage in a way. I don't know.
We don't want him looking like some old guy. It's not really something you would do in front of a customer, but there's no customers coming into the store because this is not a real Abercrombie store. It's a mock store, a fake practice store inside the massive 300-acre office for Abercrombie located in the middle of nowhere in Ohio. They call it the campus. That's what their HQ is called. Welcome to the Abercrombie headquarters. If you see a drone shot of it, it could honestly be used in one of those showing FBI training headquarters movies or some doomsday bunker for the
Are you telling it was fake? It was sawed?
ultra elite. Pretty much every single person on this campus, they're wearing flip-flops, ripped jeans, polo shirts with mooses on the front, Abercrombie's logo.
You're kidding.
They themselves call working at Abercrombie the 13th grade because that's what it feels like, an extension of high school. 13th grade. Benoit is following Mike Jeffries, the CEO, around the campus, and he kind of walks fast for someone who's perpetually click-clacking around in flip-flops, and it's just so fascinating to listen to the CEO. Everything is dude this, dude that, dude, man, dude. What a cool idea, dude. Let's make this dude look more like a dude. Interesting. You know, the man is 61 years old. And Mike thinks the worst kind of people are moody and cynical, as opposed to cool people who are beautiful, masculine, optimistic. That's what America needs more of. And Mike Jeffries, he seems to act like he has it all. I mean, he acts like it. Mike Jeffries is the CEO of Abercrombie, but one could argue he's more like the founder and creator. He made the brand what it is. Those shirtless guys outside spraying cologne on people that walk past, that was his idea. It was also his idea to not sell extra large or XXL in women's clothing specifically. They sell them for men, but not for women, which is interesting.
I think the reason for that is because if you're really muscly, you can wear it. I think now he's just kind of thinking about being like I talked earlier about because things are more fitting because it's used as a reference for the model, and if you extend it way further, it will be not fitting anymore. I think at some point it's not about that. It's just about like we're not selling products to fat people. That's pretty much it, and I think that's where we're going in here. I think that's the way he's like moving it. To be honest, hi Mizuki, welcome.
Because it's all about.
Why is she angry, bro? She's just telling the story. She's very she put emotion to her storytelling, and I love it.
Those are his words, not mine. Mike Jeffries says, that's why we hire good-looking people in our stores, because good-looking people attract other good-looking people, and we want to market to cool, good-looking people. We don't want to market to anyone other than that. In every school, there are the cool kids and the popular kids, and then there are the not-so-cool kids. Candidly, we go after the cool kids. We go after the attractive, all-American kid with a great attitude and a lot of friends. A lot of people don't belong in our clothes, and they can't belong. Are we exclusionary? Absolutely. Those companies that are in trouble are trying to target everybody, young, old, fat, skinny, but then you become totally vanilla. You don't alienate anybody, but you also don't excite anybody either.
You know, the worst part is I agree with that so much. Now, it's kind of weird talking about clothing in a way, but I kind of agree with it. I really do. I'd rather somebody perfect a specific niche or specific way than target everybody. Because if you target everybody, you target nobody.
Crazy.
Interview will later go viral, and it leads to a huge...
Are we exclusionary? Absolutely. Boycott. Ditch the Fitch. I don't even get this.
Campaign, a boycott against Abercrombie and Fitch. It leads to a YouTuber vlogging himself, buying Abercrombie clothes from Goodwill.
It's the crisis of gaming. Yeah, you have it in gaming, but you have it in media as well. Like you have it in Hollywood as well. Like look at the movies and series nowadays. Bro, what the fuck is these things are trying to be a target for everybody because they follow a checklist that are so everything that needs to be done. So it never like hits the right target demographic because it tries to be for everybody. No, you got, if you make it a horror movie, you make it, get the niche of horror. Like, fuck all of this bullshit that people worry about. Make it in a direction that will interest a horror fan. You make a drama, make it interest drama fans. Get that list out of the way. Same with action, same with anything. You have this in the Hollywood industry, you have it in gaming, and you do have it with clothing. And I'm just gonna say right now, I think the clothing brand, I'm gonna just say now, the clothing industry are the only ones that are still exclusive to who they're making it to, which makes sense because you need designers for it in a way. I mean, you can have designers and everything, but clothing industry is the only one that is specific with where the product's going. You have H&M and other things that are just reproducing things so quickly, so they don't even give a fuck if they're making anything good or bad, and they're just producing it for everybody so they can sell things quickly. But then you have a lot of brands that are specific, you know, that are specifically targeting something, specifically targeting this and that. And in entertainment industry, we're lacking that now, that's for sure.
Handing them out to people without homes on Skid Row, which this is also very controversial, but he tells his viewers that they need to rebrand Abercrombie into the #1 apparel for people without homes. He encourages his viewers to donate their Abercrombie clothes to people without homes and use the hashtag Fitch to the homeless, which that's not exactly it either, okay? But listen, the whole thing is very complicated, very messy, but not as messy as it's about to get in 2024 when the feds get involved in the former Abercrombie CEO's life. The federal indictment reads, from approximately 2008 to 2015, the defendants, Michael S. Jeffries, then CEO, Matthew C. Smith, and James T. Jacobson, together with others, operated an international trafficking and prostitution business. A man
2024.
named Luke tells the BBC, these are just claims, but he says, it was nothing like what he anticipated. He had walked in, and it's, of course, a dimly lit room with those giant photos of shirtless guys all over the walls, and everything is dark. And in the middle, there's a group of assistants standing full head to toe in Abercrombie uniforms, the forever recognizable polo shirt, blue jeans, flip-flops, just casually folding clothes on a table. The only thing missing is likely that strong scent of cologne. Abercrombie Fierce, they call it. Luke was called by the supposed executive assistant of Mike Jeffries, the former CEO, to come in for a photo shoot. Except this is not an Abercrombie store. It's also not the mock store. It's not the practice store. According to Luke, this is a hotel suite that has been outfitted to look exactly like an Abercrombie store. According to Luke's allegations, again, these are just allegations, but those quote-unquote assistants that are folding clothes keep encouraging him to pretend to be a shirtless greeter at the front of the store, like role play. Just do it. They allegedly kept telling him. Now, I have two very important guests, and these are going to be customers that you need to impress and entertain because they're going to be buying a lot of clothes from you. Luke says in that moment, Mike Jeffries and a man named Matthew Smith come out from the corner of the room. He claims that they immediately start touching him. Luke alleges the former CEO of Abercrombie then proceeded to perform oral sex on Luke, while Luke allegedly, quote, I tried to say no repeatedly, and then I just kind of got convinced to do something, but I was constantly saying no. I just wanted to go. And you know when you pack your suitcase perfect for your trip? Everything is stuffed to the brim and it works. It zips. But the second that zipper starts unraveling, everything starts coming out. Once this comes out, a string of allegations will start coming out against the former CEO of Abercrombie. One allegation is by John, fake name. He states that he was on a cruise, the Queen Mary 2, that sails from England to New York. He was there because Mike Jeffries asked him to be. And how do you say no to Mike Jeffries, who keeps trying to allegedly insert a, quote, bleeding finger into him? He thought this was a work opportunity to potentially be a model for Abercrombie. I was in the bed putting on a fake smile, crying on the inside. Here I am in the middle of the ocean having this person 4 times my age in that position of power and influence belittle me to death and literally call me worthless simply because I said no to something. No to advances.
Dude, the worst part is that this happened a lot in the industries. This power dynamic happens a lot. And it's still happening to this day. Obviously, this case is fucking from 2024. Yeah, it still happens. And it's disgusting. And you have the Diddy case that's going to be happening now. I mean, it's sickening. It is, and it still unfortunately, it will probably continue to happen. Cinema, music, theater, yeah, it will happen in every sort of way where there is a reason to benefit, like someone will benefit from you. People will use their position to take advantage of you, to feel power, to feel like God, to feel like you are dependent on them. Sometimes exclusion causes one to want to be included. Marketing is not the finest. You make someone want to be a brand. And that's the best form of advertisements, is the word of mouth. And when somebody is desiring to be a part of something that they haven't been included in before, it makes people take the leaps for it. And you know what's funny is that this actually exists it exists still in clothing, because a lot of overweight people are unable to wear certain brands because they don't make it in their style, or it won't even fit them at all because they're overweight. So they need to hit that mile of losing all that weight to be a part of it, you know? And the same goes with people are looking at that are poor or don't have like that much money, want to be included by the ones that are always using designer clothing, that are wearing Gucci, that are wearing this product. There are people that feel left out from certain groups, certain organizations, because they are not dressing up well enough. And all of these things attach to each other. I take it back. Actually, emotions when I watch a good film should be unpredictable. I love getting surprised and scared or crying. Exactly. And you will never feel that whenever everything is already set in motion from a checklist that has been done repeatedly on 100 movies and 100 series in the past. You will always follow the same outline. This is a good question for people watching on YouTube and watching now on stream. Think about it yourself when you watched a movie and watched a series recently. How many moments have you sat to yourself and thought a situation will happen and it happens? How many things have been predictable in a movie outcome or in the series outcome in the recent times for you? For me, I feel like everything is nearly predictable. And it's not about being smart. It's the fact that everything is following the same outline that nearly everything else. It's funny though, it is, but it's kind of boring. It doesn't get you hooked up. But yeah, that's my point.
In one lawsuit filed against Mike Jeffries, the former CEO of Abercrombie, the lawsuit alleges this is separate from the federal indictment and still nonetheless an allegation. The lawsuit alleges, quote, at one point, a video circulated within the Abercrombie office which depicted Mike Jeffries sniffing what was believed to be cocaine off a man's...
Bro popping
a line
off.
Of cocaine off of a man's private part.
Cocaine off a man's private part. Damn.
Yes, a bunch of employees were just circulating the video.
It was a video.
What?
That's what the allegation is, yes.
Okay.
The prosecutors also alleged that the victims were as young as 19 years old,
That's just nasty. I mean, it's already wild.
Often subjected to painful penal.
Am I the only one that find it weird whenever like a 50-year-old guy is like dating doing stuff with a 19-year-old? Yeah, I get it. They're an adult and age of consent and blah blah. Age of consent in my country is 16. Okay. I still think it's wrong. And 18, I still think it's wrong. Whenever you're hitting maybe like 25, I think I don't give it. I wouldn't think anything about it because I feel like you're at that like a bit older age. I don't know. I wouldn't. But like young adults, I think it's wrong. I like in my brain, it sounds wrong to me. Old teenager, young adult. I feel like with a extremely older man or woman, it's just wrong.
Injections. They were allegedly told that it was liquid Viagra. The indictment reads, on more than one occasion, the defendants either directed others to or personally injected men in their with a prescription-grade erection-inducing substance for the purpose of causing the men to engage in acts in which they were otherwise physically incapable or unwilling. Notwithstanding the fact that these injections were not medically injected and frequently caused the men to suffer painful physical reactions that lasted for several hours.
That sounds like the stuff Diddy used in his parties, in this Diddy party. I guess he got those ideas from Diddy.
Mike Jeffries and Matthew Smith employed their use to fulfill their own desires by causing men to submit to them. The indictment alleges, quote, events, including amongst other things, anal intercourse, the insertion of large toys into the anus, and high-pressured enemas administered by inserting a hose into the anus. So an enema allegedly given through...
They put hose. Bro.
Through a high-pressured hose would not only be painful, but extremely dangerous. These are the allegations set forth in the federal indictment. It stated that these could potentially cause severe injury by tearing a hole in the rectum or the colon. It could cause damage to the intestinal lining. And it stated, quote, using a high-pressure hose for an enema would be extremely dangerous and should never be attempted. All these allegations are currently being handled by the Eastern District of New York, the same office that handled the Nixium cult case, not to be confused with the Southern District of New York. That is the office that is handling the Diddy case. The Eastern District of New York will be taking on former CEO Mike Jeffries, and they are not here to play. During a press conference for the arrest of Mike Jeffries, Mike's right-hand man Matthew Smith, and Mike's recruiter James Jacobson, the prosecutors state,
to anyone who thinks they can exploit and coerce others by using the so-called casting couch system, this case should serve as a warning. Prepare to trade that couch for a bed in federal prison.
Wow.
Which is a very powerful statement, but it's also very intriguing. Because why now? That has been a question brought up by so many netizens. He was the CEO, he stepped down in like 2014. Why now? And they have been busy drawing connections. Netizens are drawing connections between Mike Jeffries and a few other controversial figures, Diddy and Jeffrey Epstein. Some people think the timing of Mike Jeffries' arrest is interesting. He is arrested about a month after Diddy was arrested. The trafficking charge feels similar, and perhaps some of the allegations feel similar to netizens. Mike Jeffries would allegedly host these private events at his massive Hamptons mansion. Instead of it being filled with celebrities and wearing all white, allegedly he would invite over aspiring male models. He would invite them to his $30 million home, and the house staff that worked at this massive estate said it was very strange. Every Saturday between 11 to 6 p.m., they all had to leave. They're like, why do we have to leave? I feel like this is the day where we get the most work done. It was unspoken that this was Mike's playtime. That's what one of the former staffers said.
Whoa.
One alleged victim states that the house in the middle of nowhere in the Hamptons, all you hear is the ocean and seagulls. I mean, the homes are so big, neighbors are far apart, it's very secluded, and the house is clean. They said the house is too clean. He says, quote, like when I say clean, I mean like a hospital clean, like almost sterile. Another victim states of the Hamptons house party, I was told to undress into my underwear, and I was given a glass of wine and was told that they're gonna come chat with me, like an interview. They continue, I was presented with meeting the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch for a party, a sexual experience.
This is basically Diddy party and Diddy situation, just with the modeling. This is the, instead of the music industry, this is the modeling industry. Literally one for one.
There was never any real clarification of what was expected of me. It was just like, you can go there and do what you're comfortable with and let it be known in a roundabout way that the further you go, the better. I just was not a human to these people. I was an animal. I was a body. I was being presented to someone to do what they wanted with. Which again, a lot of netizens feel very similar to the Diddy case. They comment, yeah, Diddy is dropping names in alphabetical order. Abercrombie for A. Another writes, the first Diddy domino has fallen. Sing, Diddy, sing. But there is no direct connection between Abercrombie and Mike Jeffries and Diddy, at least none that the public knows of. But there is an interesting, perhaps stronger connection between Mike Jeffries and a Jeffrey Epstein.
I mean, keep in mind, Epstein had a lot of people around the world. He had a lot of kids and a lot of models there as well doing specific deeds. On an island, nobody could assist them with anything. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, they all seem to have the same kind of idea and play through thoughts. Like they must have shared their ways in some manner, or else. I thought these situations only existed in novels, but what? No, never underestimate the evilness and corruption of humans. There's a lot of wild things people have done. remember these kids' ages, dude. It's that bad. Keep in mind, most of the people coming here are 18 to 24-year-olds, guys that are focused on being visually attractive most of the time, and they are trying to get into the modeling industry. These are kids out of high school or like just started college that are trying to get into the modeling industry and hoping for a new career, and this is what they end up with a 60, 50-year-old man fucking around with them like that.
Side note, we have
Coach
a
time,
whole
have fun,
two-part
enjoy.
series on Epstein and Epstein's Island, but it's rather well known that Jeffrey Epstein and a man named Leslie Wexner were once very, very close. Leslie Wexner is a billionaire that runs L Brands. Well, he did.
Right.
The parent company for brands like Victoria's Secret, which allegedly Epstein would pose as a recruiter for Victoria's Secret to approach young women and try to essay them, allegedly, or sometimes would fully allegedly essay them. Leslie Wexner put Epstein in charge of his finances, billions of dollars. This is how he becomes so rich. Leslie Wexner has since stated that he has been taken advantage of by Epstein and called Epstein sick, cunning, and so depraved. But netizens are very suspicious of him. But what does this have to do with Mike Jeffries? I'll tell you exactly what it has to do with Mike Jeffries. Teddy Roosevelt, hold on. Teddy Roosevelt and Ernest Hemingway were actually big fans of Abercrombie. They're not wearing the polo with the popped collars. Abercrombie is actually quite old. They didn't put 1892 on their sweaters to appear more collegiate. They were actually formed in 1892.
Damn.
They were known primarily for safari wear, fishing gear. They had some really cool hunting gear that people would equate to the style of, I guess, like Peaky Blinders. In like the long trench coats, you're going hunting. They sold fishing gear, guns, shaving cream, books, everything. One-stop shop at the Abercrombie. But eventually, Abercrombie becomes this failing brand. They're not even just not making money. They're losing $25 million a year. Not in the way that tech companies are not profitable, but like investors are very stressed about this. They're just losing money with no end in sight until Leslie Wexner comes around, purchases Abercrombie & Fitch for $47 million to join all his other brands under the limited company, which, again, he's no longer a part of. But when he was in charge of Victoria's Secret, Express, Lane Bryant, Bath & Body Works, The Limited, Henry Bendel, White Barn Candle Company, and now Abercrombie & Fitch.
That's a lot.
Les has a few things that he's known for. One, the way he builds his businesses, there's always one of two ways he goes about it. He either takes an existing brand, tries a new concept that lives within that existing brand's cohesive message, and then spins it until it becomes successful. Or he will take an existing failing brand and do everything he can to make it profitable. He buys failing Abercrombie and puts a man named Mike Jeffries in charge. And that's how they're connected. There are a lot of things that just kind of happen on a day-to-day basis that improve our lives tenfold and don't require much thought. They just kind of work so well, it feels like magic. Like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. I cannot explain to you exactly how it works, but I know that I love it and I need it every single day. And one of the best things to improve my life tenfold, something that works so well, it's both literally and metaphorically magic, is Shopify. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business, from the launch your online shop stage to the first real life store stage, all the way to, did we just hit 1 million orders stage? Shopify's there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. From their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system, wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you even turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading e-commerce platforms, and sell more with less effort thanks to their actual Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. My favorite part about Shopify, if you haven't already guessed, is Shopify Magic. First of all, it's free for every Shopify seller. It generates instant FAQ answers, crafts blog posts, product descriptions, and so much more.
Amazing.
And there is a reason that Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US, and Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds. Rothy's, Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow, grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/rotten, all lowercase.
Only
Go
$1?
to shopify.com/rotten now to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/rotten.
W ad.
Rihanna is an investigative journalist for the BBC. This was several years ago. She actually broke this case. She was the one that kickstarted the federal investigation. Back in 2021, she's scrolling on Instagram when she sees this discourse happening between male models about feeling ignored during the Me Too movement. One model writes, "We've seen it happen with hashtag Me Too. How about hashtag us too?" Interesting. She immediately tries to get in contact with the male model that posts that because perhaps she could help share the story. I mean, what story does he have? After an hour of talking, the male model, Barrett, opens up and tells her, "It was the darkest experience I've ever dealt with. They had someone come and shave me, like my whole body, because that's how they like the boys."
I was butt-ass naked because I was being asked for my ID and to sign this non-disclosure agreement.
Rihanna is like, who the hell is he talking about? The CEO of Abercrombie.
I mean, like, they dehumanized them so much. Like, it's crazy. This dehumanized them so much. They won't even feel like anything off of this. Like, I don't know. This must hurt like fuck.
One that made $70 million in a year. 70 million. He tells her that he thought he was going to get scouted as an Abercrombie and Fitch model. Instead, he ends up essayed. But he's not the only one. It's like a whole operation, and it all starts with the man with no nose. Another alleged victim of then CEO of Abercrombie states he explained that he has no nose or no skin on his nose because he had a plastic surgery mishap with his nose and it collapsed and it had to be removed completely. He chooses to wear this snakeskin patch, like a leather patch where his nose once was. He kind of looks like Voldemort. They were all told, you go meet with Mr. No Nose first before you can meet the CEO of Abercrombie. He's the gatekeeper. This would start a 3-year hunt to look for the man without the skin on his nose. And when Rihanna finally finds him 2 years later, she manages to track down the man with no nose, tracks him all the way down to his front doorstep. Knock, knock. The door slowly creaks open, and here he is on
Bro has a golden nose.
the porch steps with his head in his hands, and he tells Rihanna, the reporter, "I promise I'll tell you everything if you leave my name out of it." The name everyone cares about in the fashion industry, or at least at one point, was Mike Jeffries. The one that turned a random fishing brand into the only thing that teenagers want to wear and spend $60 on a polo shirt on, or at least convince their parents to buy them a $60 hoodie. I mean, he didn't just do that with Abercrombie and Fitch either. He created Abercrombie for kids, for little 5-year-olds to wear Abercrombie. The regular Abercrombie for middle schoolers. High schoolers, there's Hollister, the tiny bit less expensive brand that sells the California dream. There's a lot of spin-off brands. This is how one journalist describes it. For the middle schoolers, there's Abercrombie. For high schoolers, there's Hollister. And quote, "It's a wildly popular surf-inspired look for energetic and outgoing girls and guys. Perfect choice for Midwestern teens that wish they lived in Laguna Beach, California." Then quote, "When those Hollister kids head off to college, the preppy and collegiate Abercrombie and Fitch is waiting for them." One psychologist said, "They are selling the most popular people in class, the quarterback and the head of the cheerleader. That's what they're actually selling." One former employee said they were required to say, "Hey, what's up?" to everyone that walked in. They write on Reddit, "You're required to say that tagline to anyone within 15 seconds of them entering the store. Hey, what's up?" That's the simplest one. One time they changed it to, "Hey, how's it going? Have you tried our jeans? They'll make you look like a star." Which naturally everyone in the store hated. But that is what Mike Jeffrey wanted, and what Mike Jeffrey wants, he gets. The first day one would start their job at Abercrombie, at least back then, it's likely they would have a big binder slapped down in front of them. What is this? Employee lookbook. If you flip to page 1, it reads, "Exhibiting the Abercrombie look is a tremendously important part of the A&F stores. We are selling an experience for our customer, an atmosphere that people want to experience over and over again. Our people in store are an inspiration to the customer. This is what you need to look like. Hairstyles, neatly combed, attractive, natural, classic hairstyle. There are..."
I mean, this is normal, no? Like I don't know, like this is normal in like clothing shops here at least. Like you can't come like a bum to a store. Nah, is it not? Like you gotta look, you need to look well adjusted to meet new people. No, I feel like I don't know about this dread thing. Like but I'm just saying, like my hair is red. That's fine. Brush your hair. You have basic hygiene and stuff like that. I feel like that's normal. Classic hairstyle is acceptable. Neatly combed, attractive, natural, classic hairstyle.
2 pictures on the lookbook. The acceptable side shows an image of a white model. And of course,
it's like sales always have to wear suits or expensive clothes. Yeah.
of course, the unacceptable side shows a black model with dreadlocks. As for jewelry, gold chains are not acceptable for men, but a thin, short, delicate silver necklace on women is perfectly okay. Women are allowed a maximum of 2 earrings per ear and should not be bigger than a dime and should not dangle. Underscored and bolded, men are not allowed to wear earrings. Even fingernails, it reads.
I have to dress good, but my hair is crazy. Where do you work? Do you work at a clothing shop? Like the thing is that I feel like if you're working at a clothing shop, or if you're working with people, I feel like you need to be somewhat hygienic. You need to be your what are you wearing should be clean. You should be taking care of your face. Like you should be shaving. Like if it shouldn't look all that messy, and you should comb your hair. Clothing and fast food, yeah. So fast food, I don't think it mattered that much, but I guess like clothing, I would assume you would need to you have to follow a dress code.
Fingernails should not extend more than 1/4 of an inch beyond the tip of the finger. Although natural nails are preferred, if polish is worn, it should be clear or natural in color. Managers and recruiters were told the best way to find the employee is just go straight to the best fraternities on each campus and recruit the best looking guys there. Likely that guy is going to do well in the store, just standing shirtless at the door. But he's probably already popular, meaning if he's wearing Abercrombie, everyone else will want to wear Abercrombie, so it's perfect. There's even a manual for the crew on the Abercrombie company jet. A 47-page manual. Some interesting parts read. The male staff should spritz their uniforms with Abercrombie cologne upon arrival at the household and throughout the duration of the shift. Even here, with private planes, he's very picky, Mike Jeffries is, writing, hats should be worn when the temperature is below 40 degrees. Make sure that the brim of the hat is 2 inches thick. The brim should be pulled so that it is approximately in the middle of the forehead. He is meticulous. He even cares about how many cushions were on each office chair or on the private jet plane chairs. Even bringing dogs onto the plane, Mike Jeffries has a protocol. Upon arrival, the houseman will direct the bags to the captain. The houseman will take the dogs on board the aircraft, leaving the dogs on their leashes. Once on board, the houseman will hand the dogs to the steward to tend to them from there. The houseman will then carry all the carry-ons on board to be taken directly to the crew rest area, where Ruby and Trouble travel. These are the dogs' names. Ruby will sit opposite Michael in the cabin. As for meal service, 1 medium tray liner should be laid 3.5 inches from the edge of the table. 1 dinner napkin should be centered on the tray liner so that the embroidery at the bottom of the napkin lines up with the embroidery at the bottom of the tray liner. 1 luncheon fork should be placed on the left of the tray liner, 1/2 inch from the bottom of the tray liner. 1 luncheon knife should be placed to the right of the...
Bro, I'm getting a headache. Listen to this. This is fucking crazy. That's like, man, what the you want to do it, you do it. What the
luncheon forks 1/2 inch from the bottom of the tray liner. 1 white wine glass should be placed above the tray liner. There's even a section for language and tone. When Michael or a guest makes a request, respond by saying, no problem. This should be used in place of phrases like, sure, just a minute, right away, yes.
I've had bosses tell me like this. I think that if you're working in service, you have a rule book, and it makes sense. Like, you should not make things look different. Like, it makes sense. I mean, this is just a job. Like, this is your job. You follow this rule book. You're doing a service.
Sure. Which, if you remember from the Epstein episode, Ghislaine Maxwell had some weird manuals for house employees. And these, like saying, no problem, these things, she was very particular about. Mm-hmm. So the connection is very strong. Even preparing reports for Mike Jeffries to read on the plane is detailed. It reads, set up the hole punch by pulling out the silver calibrated side so that the edge of the hole punch lines up with the 5th mark on the silver calibrated slider. He's even detailing how you need to punch holes. And it's not just an arbitrary little booklet that he creates for everyone to read and nod. He actually holds people accountable for these things. It's called a corporate blitz. Unannounced store visits, in the sense that the stores will probably find out that someone from corporate, potentially even Mike Jeffries himself, is coming, but maybe a few days ahead. One former employee said that they would find out a corporate blitz is happening on a Friday. That means Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, everyone is doing overnight shifts nonstop. This is Abercrombie. This is not, I don't know, the World Health Organization. They not only check to make sure that the shelves are completely dust-free, the moose head that's hanging on every store wall has to be super clean. Mike is very detail-oriented and honestly kind of a micromanager. One former employee writes online, I worked as a, quote, model folding clothes at the front of the store, and it was my job to greet people who walked in, and the only greeting I was allowed to use at that time was, hey, how's it going? Because I guess it seemed more cool and laid back or whatever. I literally got yelled at by my manager once for going off script and saying, hey, welcome to Abercrombie. Another former employee says, during orientation, we were told not to interact with customers.
That's crazy.
Our jobs were to fold clothes and look good in clothes. Another said, men had to wear their jeans one waist size bigger so you could see their underwear line and the logo on the underwear. Our shirts also had to be one size smaller so it was tight in the chest and arms so you could see our muscles. When we had to wear our belts extra long to hang in front like a penis. Yeah.
That's what they said?
But the most important thing, according to one former manager during a corporate blitz, is the thing that mattered the most, though, was who was working the day of the visits. There were some people that we kept on staff just for those visits. AKA, they have to go above and beyond the lookbook. The former manager said, it was never, hey, your store is not hitting the number or doing this. It was, you gotta get better looking people in here. One employee said, I remember a girl walking in once and asking me if we're hiring. We were, but somehow the manager overheard and told me in the headset to tell her that we weren't. The manager said she didn't have the look. One former A&F store manager went on to CBS to say, I was sick of getting my schedule back every week with lines through names, essentially telling people that they're not good enough to work here. I can't look the people that work for me that want to be there in the eye and say, you know, lie to them and say, oh, we don't have hours, when it really was because they weren't pretty enough.
How is that okay for such a big brand to discriminate like that for that long period?
I mean, like, maybe I have like a wrong look on this because I have we have a bakery here that are only accepting petite, pretty women. Literally. That's it, that are young. And then we have another store that are only accepting bulky, muscly men, and they have to wear tight shirts and like suit pants, like black suit pants. Like, there are many things like this where I am. There's a lot of these processes because they are in a weird way that is weird at it. No, I mean, yeah, but no, because this is the thing is that they are marketing. These are marketing tools for people to be more attracted to go to these spots. What country? Norway. But you can find this in, I think, Joe and Juice is everywhere nearly in Europe, or it's in England, it's in Sweden, it's in Denmark, it's in Norway, it's in many places in the world. And Joe and Juice only invite buffy men and put them in clothing, like they most of the time have clothing where you can see the muscles and their definitions. So this thing is very normal even in Europe for many reasons. There are many places in England, in London, that have that have stores that are defining of specific things. It's a way to, it's like a branding. It's a branding of a company. It's a branding of a store in itself. It's very normal. Ali's 100% correct there. Yeah, I've been to London. Like, I have family in London. I have family in England. I have been to England many times. This is a business model that is very normal in Scandinavia and in UK. And I don't know about other places in Europe. I'm not sure. But when I was in Paris, I'm just going to say it right now. These niches on perfection, if I go to one of these good, like I went to a lot of the expensive stores, right? And you see the ones working there, and you see even the fucking guard, and you definitely see there is a pattern of recognition there that needs to be placed. There are people put like this is normal. So when you explain it like this, I feel like this is just brand policy, and I don't find it wrong. Because yeah, it is not it's not inclusive. It isn't. Of course it's not. And it is often either sexist or they're focusing on this and that. But it's a brand unique. It's a core to the brand. And I don't view that bad, because I talked about it earlier, where I prefer when a brand is like, whenever a product is trying to be for specific somebody. Now, do I think it's great? No, but I can understand it. Now, the other illegal shit is bad. Again, this is just a job. If you work as a model, you work as either presenting clothing or be eye candy in this sort of sense, right? And I guess that here they're kind of just like eye candy.
Found a loophole. Did you catch the loophole?
No.
The employees are called models.
Oh. No.
The employees are called models.
Oh, so they can judge based on looks,
Yes.
you're saying.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Abercrombie was just overall a menace to society. I mean, they had graphic tees, just plain tees with little slogans on there, which just started off normal and cute. Abercrombie and Fitch established this day, blah, blah, blah. It looks very collegiate, but somehow they end up escalating. One shirt reads, "I had a nightmare that I was a brunette." It's just mean for no reason, okay? But they keep going. Blondes
That's
are
wild.
adored. Brunettes are ignored. Mike Jeffries is indeed blonde. They have girls' shirts that read on the chest, "Who needs a brain when you have these?"
These are just dumb shirts. I mean, they're just stupid.
Or, "I see that you already met the twins." Okay, not great. Or another one that reads, "Gentlemen prefer take old biddies," saying no brains. "Do I make you look fat?"
Whoa.
Whoa.
It's all relative in West Virginia. Which apparently the governor of West Virginia did not approve of that message, was very upset by it. Or "Good girls drink quickly." Or just a shirt that says Freshman 15 that's sold in the women's section. Freshman 15 with a list of 15 boys' names. So Freshman 15 is typically known as the 15 pounds that you gain when you go into college as a freshman, right? But this one reads a bunch of boys' names, so it's indicating that as a freshman in college, she slept with these 15 boys. But it's not until they mess with the Swifties that they actually end up in a bit of a trouble with
Don't fucking mess with the Swifties. Don't leave them be. Man, you don't fuck around with that. Leave that be.
most of these shirts. They made a t-shirt that reads "More boyfriends than TS." TS for Taylor Swift. Swifties start protesting, to which Abercrombie
Oh my
responds
God.
very sincerely and very professionally, issuing a statement on Twitter. "Hey, hashtag
Fun and
Swifties.
funny.
So we no longer sell the shirt. We hear Taylor's music and think that she's awesome."
W respond. Great. Hopefully that fixed it. No, I think a lot of the shirts are just funny. I think they're stupid. But I'm also somebody that likes like seeing stupid shirts. Like I want like a shirt that is just crazy. It's just like I don't know. I find it funny. And I know like a lot of I've seen a lot of like crazy shirts recently. A sense of humor, yeah, like
If you called the Abercrombie customer service line, you would hear the new updated message on the phone. "Thank you for calling Abercrombie & Fitch Public Relations. If you are calling regarding the Taylor Swift t-shirt, please note that it is no longer available." Heinous, but it somehow gets worse. They start selling these t-shirts with a donkey wearing a sombrero and holding a taco in his hand. Next to him are the words "Juan Moore for the road."
wow.
Then they release another shirt. It shows stereotypically racist caricatures of East Asians with slanted eyes, and the t-shirt reads "Wong Brothers Laundry Service.
I mean,
2 Wongs can make it white."
That's crazy.
There were protests outside of Abercrombie
That's
after that.
fucking
People
crazy,
were
bro.
rightfully so pissed off.
Wait, they bought the shirts? So you bought them?
Asian Americans did not find this funny. This shirt would actually cause so much problems for the brand. People started protesting outside the stores, holding up posters reading, "Two Wongs don't make it white, but two Wongs can make a fight." Educate America on institutional racism. I'm not Asian, but I recognize racism when I see it. Which, side note, with all of this going on, SNL decides to be racist about it. Tina Fey, acting as a news reporter, states, "The protest was nonviolent and orderly, but the same could not be said for the parking lot when they all went to drive home," saying Asians are bad at driving. In response to all of this, a spokesperson for Abercrombie said, "We personally thought Asians would love this t-shirt. We are truly and deeply sorry for everyone that we've offended. We never single out any one group or poke fun at anyone. We poke fun at everybody, from women to flight attendants to baggage handlers."
I mean, you... we poke fun at everybody. Like, we don't support one. We say fuck you all.
To football coaches, to Irish Americans, to snow skiers. There's really no group that we haven't teased.
That's crazy.
Mike Jeffries says, "We have a whole morals committee for t-shirts. Sometimes they're on vacation. Listen, do we sometimes go too far? Absolutely. But we push the envelope and we try to be funny and we try to stay authentic and relevant to our target customer. I really don't care what anyone other than our target customer thinks." One former employee guessed it's because controversy brings free publicity and the shirts are supposed to be cool, and what's cooler than something your parents don't want you to wear? Probably the more honest reason, though, is another former employee states, "They kept making those graphic t-shirts because, quote, the kids loved wearing them, so we just kept making them, and they were cheap. You could sell tees for like an 85% markup. And I guess people wear them because they want to fit that image of the..."
A t-shirt is really cheap. And if people buy them because of a stupid, like, funny line, yeah, it will do good. Yeah, because they probably sell them for a fuck ton.
Guys on the Abercrombie ads. Most of the pictures of all the shirtless guys laying down on the sand, showing off their armpits. They're known for their armpit ads. Always like aggressive armpits. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And one of them literally states in an interview, "Oh, I'm the armpit guy," because that's one of the most iconic pictures to come out of Abercrombie. That is all. All the photography is the work of one man named Bruce Weber. In the photography and fashion world, it's said that you could spot a Bruce Weber from a mile away. They say the aesthetic is, quote, "joyful group shots, young people, sex, Americana, golden retriever."
This just screams white people happy. Absolutely. All this does is scream white people happy. Yo, Foxy, thank you so much for T1. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Out in the countryside. He was one of the highest paid photographers at one point. He worked with brands like Calvin Klein, Ralph Lauren, Revlon, Versace, Vogue, GQ, Vanity Fair, Elle, Rolling Stone. You know those underwear ads for Calvin Klein? They basically started due in part because of Bruce. They were very controversial at the time, but also very groundbreaking. To some people, they said the photos look like softcore porn. The National Coalition for the Protection of Children and Families.
Nearly every single like ad that are like made for like perfume looks like softcore porn to me. Like nearly all of them. They're always like half naked and doing wild shit.
And another group called Focus on the Family. They both launched boycotts of the brands because of Bruce Weber's photos. But criticism aside, Bruce was killing it in the industry. So it doesn't really matter because being in the same room as Bruce meant that your career is going to advance. It's going to skyrocket. Abercrombie models remember going out to a photo shoot where Bruce was. He's not even taking pictures all day of everyone. He's looking for the right moment, the right people to take pictures of. They just told the models, be natural, do whatever feels natural. And Bruce will take a picture if he likes it. One model says guys would just be climbing up a tree being like, "Hey Bruce, it's a tree and I'm in it, look at me." Or they would start doing push-ups on the curb to get his attention. Bruce is a very fascinating character. One model remembers that he was called for a potential shoot with Bruce Weber, but instead of meeting at a photo shoot location, he goes up to meet with Bruce at a jewelry store. Hi Bruce, hi, nice to meet you. Bruce won't even look at him, won't even acknowledge him, nothing. So now he's just standing awkwardly to the side, uncomfortably, while Bruce, for quote, at least 10 minutes, picks out jewelry for his wife. It was all very strange. It's like a power play or something. But still, it's Bruce. This is what one model has to say about working with Bruce. I couldn't sleep the night before. I was like, I am going to shoot with Bruce Weber. Oh my God, I'm going to shoot with Bruce Weber. My star could turn. I could take off from here. And everybody is like, you're shooting with Bruce? That's awesome. Because he is the brains behind the image of Abercrombie. Skinny, rich, sexy, white. One former employee said, all that mattered was that the employees you took pictures of and sent back to headquarters were hot. That's it. That's at the store level. They're taking pictures of everyone working in the store, sending it back to corporate, and these people need to look like they could potentially be in a Bruce Weber ad. One supposed former manager of Abercrombie and Fitch did an AMA on Reddit where they said, there's a thing called
yeah, all of them are 18 plus. Also, like from the photos we've seen, they all look like they're like mid-20s.
Cast of
early
insert
20s.
Store tracker. You submit your top 10 most attractive and outgoing sales floor staff. It is okay and encouraged for an ugly or, quote, chubby employee to only work in the back or with the night crew and not be on the sales floor. Every year, the cast of gets their photo taken and submitted to corporate.
All defined jawlines. Damn.
Calendars and video propaganda are made and dispersed congratulating the sexiest store locations. It was weird. And the process of that is just uncomfortable. You have to take shirtless pictures of guys that work there to send to corporate. They write, it was so weird to take a guy into the back room, make him take off his shirt, pull his jeans right down to his pubes, and then take his picture. We have to do this to search for greeters.
What the fuck?
Awkward. Of course, with everyone in the company having OCD, they made us do it like 10 different times with the same people off the clock. Just constantly taking weird photos. Another former manager states, the thinner, more conventionally attractive you were, the closer you were to the front.
That is so crazy because this wasn't even that long ago, too.
No. Ethnic.
I'm gonna just say this ain't stopping either. Like not long ago, this ain't stopping. Like the like the modeling industry, just generally this industry itself is about attractiveness. I don't think this stops.
Minorities and overweight people most of the time just went to the work in the stockroom, along with anyone who wasn't tall or facially symmetrical enough to fold t-shirts.
Wait.
I don't know about minority thing though. Like I think that generally maybe this here, but like I feel like it doesn't matter where you're from. Like there are hot dudes and girls from every country. They will definitely be everywhere. Maybe this specific. Definitely they are they definitely are a little bit racist.
What?
Yeah. A completely different former manager, she says, you have to rank your employees on a level of cool to rocks. If they aren't at least cool, you have to zero them off your schedule. They have to be fired. It didn't matter what your sales were. All that mattered was that the employees that you took pictures of were hot, which is clearly, that's illegal, right? That's what they say. One of the former managers also said, it was something of a sport amongst the floor managers and employees to make fun of overweight shoppers who came in looking for clothes, as we generally didn't carry about a size 12 in most items, and we were encouraged not to apologize for this. One manager even told me as his biceps strained the sleeves of his moose emblazoned shirt that wearing Abercrombie was a privilege, not a right. Okay, bro.
What?
And any employee who gained a significant amount of weight was fired with little explanation.
Is it weird for me that I don't even remember Abercrombie at all? Like, and I have a lot of designer clothes as well, but maybe they didn't. I guess they didn't sell. Like store doesn't exist where I'm living, so maybe that's why I have no idea about it. I guess this maybe was just a US based kind of thing.
Supreme Court hears a lot of interesting cases, and then there's cases that...
Yeah, I'm trying to work out what her main point is. I think her main point is that they're working as models, and she's not fine with the way it works. Because, like, again, I have been like saying this is normal. Racism and body shaming. Racism I can get behind. Which is like, wait, this sounds wrong. Racism is where it's very wrong and it doesn't make sense that an industry is segregating it. Doesn't make sense. But the body shaming idea, yeah, I meant to the opposite way. The body shaming, I can understand that they are only making it for fit dudes and girls, right? So they want only fit dudes and girls as models, which makes sense, right? They're not making that, like, it makes sense, right? The only thing I don't get is the racism. Like, this is like, oh. Also, there was a black guy, one of the models.
Honestly, why? Why did this happen? Why did somebody feel compelled to do this? And now we have to go to the Supreme Court. Why couldn't we just all have basic human decency and we would save everyone a lot of time, heartache, and even money? In 2015, SCOTUS hears a case of a woman named Samantha. She says in 2008, she applied for a job at Abercrombie, but she was denied a position because she wore a hijab. That's the only reason she was denied the position. Not because she was...
Well, that makes sense. In a way, because they will expect her then that she wants to wear the hijab, right? And they have a policy of what to wear and how to like be, right? They have it like this specific hairstyle, this, that. So that kind of makes sense, no?
Underqualified. If anything, she was likely overqualified. No other reason than her religious garment. They told her it went against their, quote, look policy.
It's a store for teens. They shouldn't be picky about your weight. You should not be discriminating against for tiny things. But they're not selling you. This is for the workers, right? They're workers that are models that are at the store. Again, they're defined as models, right? They're not, they are model workers, which is a gray line, which they should be illegal in a way. But they're meant to represent as models, right? So they should be working now. I think like being assholes to customers is just so stupid and ridiculous. But the idea is that, like, if I go to any fancy store, and I don't even know if this is fancy or not, I don't know what the price range is because this didn't exist where I live. Never heard about this before. But like, if you go anywhere where it's a brand, they have like crazy, you can see like they definitely have like they gotta look posh whenever they work there. They have to act posh as well whenever they work there. They have to be very friendly to their customers, because most of the people going in there usually have money, you know, even if it's for like teenagers. $20 to $50 with pants and $70. That's not much at all. That's cheap.
Which is the, quote, classic East Coast collegiate style. Samantha rightfully files a complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which then files a lawsuit against Abercrombie, and they double down. Abercrombie reps say was kind of like a baseball cap.
Also, like, it doesn't make sense to me that store workers will be nasty toward anybody overweight or discriminate anybody. Whenever, like, let's say somebody's overweight, they might buy clothes for someone else or their son or a friend or something like that. What the, just being rude to customer, nasty like that, you're just nasty human being. And I don't know if this is like, it didn't really translate well. Is this like store policy, or is this that you have to be a nasty ass, or is this just the general vibe of every model? I think it's just the vibe of the model, how they're behaving themselves.
Well, it's kind of not, but they double down and they keep going. We ban all types of headgear, regardless of religious affiliation. Because of Abercrombie's stubbornness on being discriminatory, the case goes all the way up to the Supreme Court. The case was heard by SCOTUS, and like I said, if Abercrombie and all the employees just had basic decency, it wouldn't have gone up all this way. Which, side note, that's not me saying Samantha shouldn't have brought it to SCOTUS. That's like, if we don't punch people in the faces, we don't have to have these trials about assault. I think Samantha did amazing. SCOTUS rules 8-1 in favor of Samantha, stating that Abercrombie has violated the Civil Rights Act, which states that employers must provide, quote, reasonable accommodation without undue hardship. Which, honestly, Samantha is amazing. She quite literally helped make the country better. But again, nobody had to do that.
This doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry, but this doesn't really make sense to me. If they have a policy of you have to have this type of hairstyle and do this and that and these type of clothing, and you have to groom yourself, and somebody has a religious belief that are basically covering one of the part that must be shown, they need to be this way, then it makes sense that they can't hire her because it will go against her religious beliefs. Like, am I wrong on this? Chat, y'all free to say if I'm wrong on this, but this doesn't make sense to me. Like, I think they are in the right then, because they already have the set idea. Now, is it good? No, I think like I mean, like a job should probably have, everyone could be able to jump there. But like, I feel like if they have like an idea that everybody has to remove headwear, it kind of makes sense, no?
And go through all this anxiety had Abercrombie just not been a bad person. And they were also just flat out racist to everyone. They're just discriminating. After a corporate blitz in Irvine, California, which is heavily an Asian community, they fired almost everyone.
Saying that as a religious person, and I want to remind you, by the way, I used to be religious as well. I lost my belief. And I have like so like in many ways I would probably support the ones that are religious, but I'm thinking about this, how they have set their rule book of standards and they are hiring people that are able to follow their rule book. They can't hire somebody and ignore their rule book because of their religious belief. They have another candidate that can follow the rule book, you know? I mean, it's the same way they wouldn't hire somebody, I guess, conveniently unattractive. I mean, they have the rule book. Over the top? Yeah, I agree the rules are over the top. For sure. But it's still their rules, right? So it makes sense that it's their store. Nobody should force a business to hire someone. I don't think if a business wishes to have like specific norms of rules they must fulfill and the candidate cannot fulfill them, they are not enforced to hire them. Hijab is not presentable. No, we're twisting it then if we're doing it like that, because the point is that they need to present these hairstyles, right, and be groomed. And if you are wearing headwear, you're not presenting that style, you know?
Store because they're Asians. Yeah.
Like there's many jobs, like if I go to a clothing store near me now, they will not allow me to wear headgear. Now, I bet they would allow somebody with religious belief to have a hijab, definitely. But nobody would, for example, be allowed to work wearing a niqab. Like, think about a grocery store or like anywhere, any clothing place. Do you think any of them would allow anyone to wear a niqab because of a religious belief? I don't think so. And I feel like it's the same kind of thing, same idea. In a way, like I think it's bad. I feel like I personally think it's bad, but I get it, you know? I think it's just ridiculous to take it to a court case.
At the white guy on the poster and said, you need to have more stuff that looks like that.
That's crazy because probably most customers are Asians.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Which is just outright corporate discrimination and racism.
Wait, let me hear.
Not been a bad person. And they were also just flat out racist to everyone. They're just discriminating. After a corporate blitz in Irvine, California, which is heavily an Asian community, they fired almost everyone in the store because they're Asians.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they pointed at the white guy on the poster and said, you need to have more stuff that looks like that.
That doesn't make sense. Now, this is where they're completely fucking wrong and just being racist, you know? There's a difference between following, like, having a hairstyle or being groomed compared to, oh, your race doesn't look like this race. I mean, what the fuck?
That's crazy because probably most customers are Asians.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Which is just outright corporate discrimination and racism.
And it doesn't make sense why you would do that toward like the idea, because you would separate your customer base. Why would you do that? Now that's just pure racism, yeah.
Another Asian employee said he asked the assistant manager about rehiring him.
I'm old school, so I have to hold my tongue, but I agree. You can share your thoughts. This is my view on things, is that I don't care what people say as long as they're not blatantly being a piece of shit or being racist. And I do not care if people disagree with me. Actually, in fact, I prefer when people disagree with me so I can view a different point of view. Like, that's why I'm asking these questions. Because I look at this and I don't see why.
Because he does well for his job. He's qualified.
Yeah.
Why can't he work his job? And the assistant manager allegedly straight up told him, my manager said we can't rehire you because we already have too many Filipinos working in the store.
That's fucked up.
He said, I was like, are you serious? She looked pretty uncomfortable and was like, yeah. Which leads to a...
That's disgusting. Like, think about yourself. You're getting into work field and this is what you met with. Like, that will put a ball in your belly. Like, you will feel disgusted from this. This is awful.
Class action lawsuit of discrimination. The attorney representing all the plaintiffs said it was visually very easy to see what the plaintiffs were saying in this case. They say, in this case, I could go to the mall and verify what our client had told us, and so I did that. I would go into the Abercrombie store and look at all the retail workers there, and then I would go across the hall to another retail establishment, Old Navy, Banana Republic, or The Gap, and the contrast was just striking. One former employee said online, I cut my hair into a short afro, and the next day at work, my manager immediately told me to go home because my hair no longer fit the approved styles in the company lookbook. They showed me all the approved styles, all of which I obviously couldn't replicate with a 1-inch curly afro. It was very clear that when my hair was chemically straightened, it was approved. But that when I allowed my hair to grow naturally, it became a problem. As a young Black woman, it definitely hurt to think that my natural look wasn't, quote, acceptable. They essentially refused to schedule me until I made my hair look white again. So I just kind of never showed up again. Allegedly, Abercrombie attorneys tried to argue that they were not fired due to racial discrimination. They were fired because, for a lack of better words, they were ugly. They just weren't good enough to work the floor ultimately. Abercrombie settled and they never admitted guilt. Abercrombie did settle for $40 million. They paid out to thousands of people, so they didn't really make that much money. But Abercrombie, however, was forced to sign a consent decree, basically agreeing to change their recruiting, hiring, and marketing practices, meaning that they would have to report to a court-appointed monitor for 6 years, which sounds very serious. It sounds very committed, but it's not. Nothing happens if they miss a benchmark. They just had to hire a VP of diversity to promote diversity training for all employees with hiring authority, which, again, doesn't really change anything.
Isn't all of this going to be removed now from Trump? Like these DEI diversity stuff, like isn't all of this getting removed? Isn't this all already removed? So these qualifications they're mentioning now, I think they're gone from business now in America. Yeah, I think Trump signed this a while ago. So what she's referring to now of DEI, it's acceptable now.
Because they just start calling front of house retail employees models. This is the loophole I'm telling you about. Because if you call them
and again
house retail employees models,
they talked about racism. There's a black model here. There's another one. I mean, the only thing is that the hairstyle, right?
I'm telling you about. Because if you call them a model,
I definitely believe that there's a lot of sections where there has been racism, but I don't think it has. Maybe there are branding that are setting it, but it sounds to me in a lot of cases, it is personal workers and people in management themselves that have decided to have this outcome. You know what I mean? So I don't think I completely brand the whole like business for this view, because like it seemed like there are workers that are being discussed, like being like these models that are being like awful toward people that are overweight, the same way that people that are recruiters are being awful toward people depending on their race. It's weird.
You can technically discriminate on aesthetics. Models have to aesthetically look a certain way that fits the brand's image, whereas everyone working in the back of the store, stocking shelves, or in the back stock rooms, they were
only naked males and sexes. Where are the naked females? True.
Called impact employees.
What does that mean?
I guess they're impacting the store, but also impact, that's like basically saying diversity hire.
Whoa.
Impact employee.
That's crazy. So they got a lawsuit for discriminating.
Yes.
And they're like, okay, I'm sorry. Here's some money. And I'm going to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But smarter this time, quote unquote.
It's a legal
Hello.
loophole. One former employee says the idea was that calling their minimum wage retail employees models, Abercrombie could get away with anything that a modeling agency could get away with. They had to add an updated clause to their lookbook for employees that now reads, for example, head coverings including baseball caps are not permitted for certain purposes such as religion or disability. However, associates may be permitted to wear approved head coverings. And another statement that reads, diversity. Abercrombie employees represent American style. America is diverse. We want diversity in our stores. Which is like the dumbest diversity blurb I've ever read in my life. A few netizens who allege
I think that any diversity hire or idea like this is just weird. The more people separate humans from being humans, it just makes me I don't know. It makes me feel disgusted. Whenever people are so fixated on race and where people are from, I think it's really weird. Now, I can understand discussion about like whenever it comes to like outfit wear and a religious outcome is preventing it. I kind of get, I can understand that. Like, I mean, I can understand a business setting their rules, but I don't understand how people are viewing a human in a different manner just because of the way they are, like the way they are. You know, at least in a business where you're just literally, like, actually, no business. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, it doesn't really make sense. This is just pure hate for no reason.
allegedly work at Abercrombie during this time said, nothing really changed by adding those clauses. One writes, I got written up for having a sunburn when I worked there. The seriousness of it all, just for me to be standing at the front of the store saying, hey, what's up, is absurd. Another netizen writes, I got a $20 class action settlement for working here during this policy, LOL, crying face. Which another netizen responds, all that for $7.25 an hour to ring up some clothes? There were petitions at the time stating Abercrombie's brand is discrimination. They rooted themselves in discrimination at every single level. Side note, they really do. They were also sued for not having an accessible entrance to their store, one of their sister stores, Hollister, violating their Americans with Disabilities Act, which, side note, they tried to argue, well, technically it's fine, okay? There are steps, there's no ramp, there's steps, which nobody that is wheelchair bound could potentially ever possibly use safely.
I think I get it. I think that this business are trying, like, I get it. We got it from the beginning. But this business is trying to target a specific demographic, and laws are preventing them from doing that. That's pretty much it. Like, laws and social politics are preventing them from doing that. And I guess that if we're talking in modern term, everybody will say they are wrong. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the story about what we're talking about now.
But it's fine because, quote, Hollister is like a fantasy of Southern California. It's all about hot lifeguards and beautiful beaches, young and fun. Hollister never takes...
Which, again, is normal in businesses where I am from. So I'm just... yeah.
life too seriously. The reason that that specific store has no way for anyone with a wheelchair to get inside is because, quote, well, the entrance is supposed to look like an entry to a house in SoCal that you would walk up onto the porch or walk down onto the porch to enter like you do at a beach house.
What are these arguments?
The company's attorneys argued the stepped porches aren't discriminatory because they're visual displays that all customers, even disabled ones, can enjoy. The judge did not care. They are truly out here to offend and discriminate every single person known to existence, except a small group of super skinny, super rich white people who probably, hopefully, were so offended that they don't want to be a part of that either. The alleged former manager that did the AMA on Reddit says, if a person talks, looks, or acts gay, they're not supposed to be hired. This company builds itself on people. People are its only advertisement, they say. The people they put on a pedestal are straight, clean, young, usually white, people with clear skin and natural looks. Yeah, that means they must act and dress straight.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I still, like, all of that. And they were hyped, so hyped for so long.
Yes.
Is it because, like, maybe social media wasn't that advanced back then? So nobody can talk about these issues?
I do think we have come a long way. I don't know if people who grew up in minority-dominated areas can resonate, but growing up in a white-dominated area, I definitely think that it was very normal to feel the pressure to be a part of that group.
Right, fit in.
Yeah,
right.
but then nowadays it's like, oh, I love being me.
Right, okay.
But eventually,
Love
this all
being
catches
you.
up to them. And
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Yeah, Fox, I get it. No, No, I get it, man. People from Poland are fucking pretty.
And the first to fall is Bruce Weber. Some say the main photographer for Abercrombie at the time, Bruce Weber, they don't call him Creepy Santa Claus for no reason. Those working with Abercrombie would later state and allege that there's something called being Brucified. It's when a model gets a call to come to Bruce's hotel room privately to talk about future modeling opportunities. Or you go on a long walk with Bruce. You know when that person gets a call for a long walk, they're getting Brucified.
Wait, is Brucify in this lawsuit as well?
Bruce is not.
Bruce is not. Okay.
But he has his own lawsuits pending.
Okay.
Civil lawsuits, yes. Okay. Many, like over a dozen allegations of assault. Yeah, one model who worked with Bruce claims it's presented as an option, but it really isn't. Even nudity on sets, quote, the model that didn't go nude were always cut on day 2, and those who did would stay for additional shoot days. The boys who would socialize with Bruce after the shoots alone in his hotel room would get booked for longer, with a carrot of major campaigns being dangled in front of them. Sometimes models didn't even know why they had to be nude on set. It didn't even make sense. One model who worked with Bruce said, it unfolded slowly. He's directing you, and the peak of the moment is when you're fully exposed and being told to hold that pose, and you're wondering, what are these pictures even for? Because you're not on set. You're thinking, this is not what I'm getting paid for. Unfortunately, it does indeed get worse. Bruce allegedly had these breathing exercises. Many male models have come forward to say, yeah, that's not what the breathing exercises were. Let's be real. They allege that Bruce would have the model remove all their clothes. The model would then place his hand on his own chest. Bruce would put his hands on top of the male model's hands, like they're in a strange naked prayer, except Bruce is fully clothed. Bruce Weber would allegedly have each of the models go lower and lower with their hands, as he's allegedly guiding them, but he's not. I guess if you really want to be technical, he's not really touching them. But allegedly, he said, the purpose of the exercise was so that the models could breathe and see how the energy flows in their body. And the energy seemed to always allegedly flow straight to their privates. Once they start rubbing their own genitals by coercion, by force, by...
Oh, yeah. Like, that's the breathing exercise. They got to go and they get that, yank it. I mean, obviously, this guy's just trying to make a loophole with his way, or trying to be sneaky. Just disgusting. And these are all young men trying to get into the industry. Fucking hell.
By choice, it's unclear. Bruce would allegedly take the male model's hand and eventually move it over to his own trousers. It's claimed he would have the male model rub his genitals through his pants by guiding their hands. One model states, I remember him putting his fingers in my mouth and him grabbing my privates. We never had or anything, but a lot of things happened, a lot of touching, a lot of molestation. But the models were told this was to help keep them vulnerable in a photo shoot. And that if they're vulnerable, they're going to go a lot further in their modeling career. If you're not vulnerable, you can imagine what happens. One former model says that he was on a photo shoot site. He gets a call. Day 3 photo shoot. There's a bunch of models there. He says it was day 3. All of a sudden the phone rings and I'm like, oh, I know what that is. Hey, Bobby, so I'm sending a car for you to come over, and it's Bruce. I want you to come over to the hotel and we can talk. And at this moment, the moment is like, I'm not going. Like, I'm going to go home or not, right? So I tell him, yeah, so I'm not going to be able to make it. He was like, what? No, you have to come. It's going to be great for your career. So I'm like, yeah, no, I'm cool, Bruce, but thank you very much. And all of a sudden, we hang up. My phone rings in probably 1 minute. Let's just say less than 2 minutes. It rang again, and I was like, hello? I pick it up, and it's like, hey, Bobby, unfortunately, you're going to be cut, and your flight is ready. Get your bags ready, and then you have a flight out tonight.
And that's just the reality of it. Like, you don't want to, and that's why you feel that power, like the fact that they have power, because all that time, all that investment to be a part of the industry can be broken in a single second of you saying no to them. And that's where the power dynamic comes to play. Look at that, a minute.
It was just like that instant, it was done. One male model filed a lawsuit against Bruce Weber for inappropriate touching during a casting session. He said he was 28, Bruce was 69, a full 48 years old.
69 years old?
He alleges that he goes to Bruce's house and Bruce immediately pressures him to take off his clothes. And ultimately, the lawsuit alleges Bruce forces the model to rub his own privates because he looks too, quote, tense. While the suit claims Bruce is sitting there whispering creepy things like, if you just had the confidence, you would go really far. How far do you want to make it? How ambitious are you? Then Bruce allegedly put his fingers into the male model's mouth and kissed him on his way out of the apartment.
Ugh.
That is not the only one that's spoken out about alleged misconduct by Bruce. Another male model alleges that Bruce kept telling him to dress completely nude for Calvin Klein, which the model didn't think made sense because, what do you mean? He later realized
It's fucking Calvin Klein. What do you mean nude? Bro gotta wear a boxer.
the nude photos were for Bruce to show Calvin of Calvin Klein. I guess to approve or not approve. I don't know. But he alleged that it was very uncomfortable and Bruce would get mad when he said no. Also, he asked him if he and his brother could pretend to be boyfriends during a photo shoot, which they both refused because that's disgusting. They claim that when they said no, they were subjected to verbal abuse, and they believe Bruce blacklisted them from the industry after that, which I'm not saying this as a fact. I would not be able to tell you that. But a female photographer, Jessie English, who spent a few years assisting famous male photographers, said the attitude at the time on sets was insane. It was like this: if I need to touch you between your legs or grab your breasts so that you have the right look on your face, that's just the way it is. For example, one alleged victim states that after a casting, he left in sheer terror because allegedly Bruce tried to stick a male model's hands down Bruce's pants. When he tells Bruce's agent, the response was not what he was expecting. The agent just states, "That's all he did? You should have gone further." Bruce has since denied all the allegations, but the number of accusations netizens are quite suspicious. Additionally, they're wondering, did Mike Jeffries really not know? And if he did, how much did he know? One former model states, and we can infer from his statement that Mike Jeffries allegedly knew it all. He says, it felt like they were always implementing a new step in the process at Abercrombie, like during the photo shoots. One of which was you had to go into like this tent that was closed off, and it was just Bruce Weber and Mike Jeffries in there. Literally, it was an interview to see if they liked your personality, who you were, and what you brought to the table. Yeah. The holidays are the perfect opportunity to spend time with family, exchange gifts.
We'll just skip that.
This podcast is my dog Mango. She's basically the light of my life, but she is not without her own vices. Her favorite is de-stuffing a toy that I just gave her, ripping off the eyes, ears of any stuffed animal, and then demanding another toy, which I do enable her, but how could you not? Thankfully, with Rakuten, I am able to shop for all my dog toys that Mango could ever possibly want on Chewy.
Another ad.
Not the first person to think of the so-called genius idea of selling clothes by advertising people with no clothes on. But he's probably one of the richest ones that thought of it. In 2006, profits for Abercrombie were hitting $2 billion. In a single year alone, Mike Jeffries was making around $71 million, making him one of the highest paid executives in the world at the time.
Damn.
One journalist describes Mike Jeffries as the Willy Wonka of the fashion industry. They state quirky, perfectionist, control freak. One person says, you want to look at this guy? I mean, a lot of people say, look, he's weird. Certainly, he's probably insane, but he's also unbelievably brilliant and extremely driven. Another industry expert says, I think he is one of the greatest merchants in the United States. In fact, other merchants and designers and everybody, honestly, were trying to get in front of Mike to have him say, yes, this is that was the goal. People who worked directly with Mike Jeffries said he was tireless. The guy was very energetic and boisterous. He just never stopped working for the brand. Thinking about the brand, he would wear Abercrombie blue jeans, a navy blue polo shirt, leather flip-flops with a leather belt. He was an incredibly big personality. He would explode in a room. But is he a mad genius? Abercrombie's whole approach isn't particularly original. Not saying it doesn't work, but the brand is a mixture of two. It's a mixture of Calvin Klein and Ralph Lauren. Calvin Klein was one of the first brands to merge youth culture and sex. They're selling sex. Ralph Lauren is selling the all-American preppiness. So they merged the two. That's Mike Jeffries' great idea, I guess. Word association would be fraternity, boarding school, WASP, upper crust, preppy with money. One former employee would say, just aspirational enough, but not so expensive that it was out of reach. The fundamental idea is that fashion is selling us belonging, confidence, cool appeal. You know, in so many ways, the very last thing that it's selling is actually the garments. Abercrombie sold a dream. It was almost like your fantasy, like a young person's fantasy. Even the bags had the half-naked, ripped guys on there. Do you remember? In black and white, you would see people walking around the mall with those bags. Some girls would cut out those guys from the bag and post them on their lockers.
Oh my God, yes.
Or cover their textbooks with them. I mean, he is, at the end of the day, a pretty good marketer. He would have these posters in his office that had a line down the middle. This is what Abercrombie is. This is.
And I feel like that's what they achieved then with what they've been explaining here. Again, it seems to me they tried to hit the niche and they did it because everybody else does something else. and they're just trying to be talked about. And if they can get the chance to be a part of the word of mouth, that's the biggest form of marketing that you can ever achieve.
Is what it isn't. What Abercrombie is, the dog is a golden retriever. It is not a standard poodle. The Abercrombie college kid drives a Jeep. He does not drive a sedan. He would host little meetings around the fire pit to discuss how much money the company is making. The beginning years were around 165 million, then 235 million, then 335, 522, 816, and finally billions of dollars of sales per year. One retail marketing consultant said, "It is one of the best examples of a brand that is incredibly focused and disciplined about its retail execution. It's very targeted, precise, executed, and nothing is left to chance." And obviously, it sells. Mike Jeffries says, "I think what we represent is healthy. It's playful. It's not dark. It's not degrading. And it's not gay. And it's not straight. It's not black. And it's not white. It's not about labels that'd be cynical. And we're not cynical. It's all depicting this wonderful camaraderie, friendship, playfulness that exists in this generation and candidly does not exist in the older generation."
But then, like, how did it all went downhill? Like, it was so hot back in the days, and then all of a sudden,
Yes.
it was gone.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we're going to get in there.
Okay.
They used to have this Abercrombie Quarterly magazine, which was just a picture book of very sexy photos. It said that in one quarterly, you could not see a sweater or a garment until page 122. Yeah. They just had a magazine.
What does that mean? You don't see it until
Everyone's naked until page 122. You might see one sweater.
God damn.
An HR rep told an employee, "I mean, you could write Abercrombie with dog shit on a baseball hat and sell it for $40. That's where we're at right now. It's awesome." Fascinatingly enough, Mike Jeffries' career was not doing great until Leslie Wexner hired him as the CEO of Abercrombie, which is interesting because it makes you wonder, why did he hire him then? The company that Mike Jeffries was CEO of was failing. Would you really want to make him a CEO of a company that you just purchased that is also failing? Unless there's another reason. Maybe you guys have a deep, deep friendship and connection or something. I'm not saying there is. I'm just saying it's very intriguing. Prior to Abercrombie, Mike Jeffries was the president of Alcott and Andrews, positioned itself as an upscale professional clothing line for women. They were failing for a
Yeah, I don't think this seems to be, again, they're trying to hit the teenage American, so I don't think it expanded apart from America.
lot of reasons, and it's just fascinating. Why bring a failing president to take over a currently failing brand? Maybe he saw something special in Mike Jeffries. If you ask Mike Jeffries, he'll probably give you a very PR answer. Mike would say that it all started when he was 5 years old. He was growing up in LA, where his dad owned a party supply store. Mike was obsessed with organizing, reorganizing, designing the windows and the counters. He would scream at his parents, "We need another store. We need another store." I always wanted to expand and get bigger, and I would get off on saying, why do we do the fixtures like this? Why don't we do it this way? That totally turned me on. Seemingly, working at Abercrombie would be the best career choice of Mike Jeffries' life. Not for everybody else, but for him. He's selling meets the Ivy League. That's the vision. And they're bringing it all to the other sub-brands that Abercrombie creates. They start selling these little triangle push-up bras. That's what they called them. Push-up bikini tops. They're striped. They come in black, red, blue, just triangles and strings for $24.50. This becomes a whole controversy because the problem is this is in the newly launched Abercrombie Kids section for little girls 8 to 14 years old.
That's fucked.
Which is not even the worst scandal they were on. On the contrary, they actually sold thongs for literal children.
That's
they
weird
had
as
thongs
fuck.
and the phrases on there would say, "Eye candy, wink wink."
That's some sick ass joke, man. Jesus Christ.
What the hell is going on right now? Parents are upset. They're saying this gets young girls to think that about themselves in that way before it's even developmentally appropriate. To which Abercrombie released a statement saying, "Yeah, okay, we will take out the push-up part of the bikini, but you can still buy them." And the company responds, "You think it's weird? You think it's weird that children wear stuff like this? You're weird." They state that the underwear was created with the intention of being lighthearted and cute. And if you think it's weird, then it's, quote, "purely in the eye of the beholder." Mike Jeffries would even later say, "That was a bunch of bullshit. People said we were cynical, that we were sexualizing little girls. But you know what? I still think those are cute underwear for little girls. And I think everybody who gets on a bandwagon about thongs for little girls is crazy. Just crazy. There's so much craziness about in this country. It's nuts. I can see getting upset about letting your girl hang out with a bunch of old pervs. But why would you let your girl hang out with a bunch of old pervs?" which is such a weird response.
Huh?
One journalist writes about Mike Jeffries, and for a man obsessed with creating a sexy and emotional experience for his customers, he comes off as oddly sexual. He is touchy-feely with some of his employees, both male and female, but the touch is decidedly paternal. Mike Jeffries has a wife and a son. The son is full grown, and I believe he and his wife live separately. They're pretty separated. Because one person talking about Mike Jeffries said, when he ran Abercrombie, he always sold clothes to women and girls. But I think most people saw and responded to was the male image and the male form. And it appears that Mike Jeffries included. Because it's a well-known secret that Mike Jeffries is gay. He has a blown-up torso of a man's abs hanging over his fireplace. Some people said, you just knew he was gay. And he sort of became
I feel
a gay...
like that doesn't incline that someone is gay. Like, there's a lot of art pieces that are just basically nude humans. Doesn't really say much.
icon in the fashion world. Him and his partner, Matthew Smith. Matthew Smith is a very, very private person. There's probably a handful of pictures of him out there. Here's what the public does know about him. He is British. Interesting, right? Another Jeffrey Epstein connection, Ghislaine Maxwell. Perhaps 60 years old now. Mike Jeffries was 20 years older than him. He's kind of seen as Mike Jeffries' shadow. He doesn't actually work for Abercrombie, but he was very influential in every decision in the company, which is fascinating considering he's not an employee, executive, or a board member, but he allegedly held considerable power. He was involved in all the internal meetings. One former employee says, I can't think of a time where Mike went anywhere independently without Matthew. He was the one that allegedly created the manual for the executive Abercrombie jet, which included 40 pages of highly detailed instructions, including what kind of underwear aircraft staff should wear, which again, reminiscent of Ghislaine Maxwell. Which, side note, some employees were nervous about this. They said they were concerned because if Matthew Smith made a decision that would negatively impact the company, technically he would be cleared of responsibility. Aside from that, nobody really knew anything about Mike Jeffries and Matthew Smith in their private lives. They say if he has a life outside of work, it's not something people knew about. And they didn't until decades later when he and Matthew Smith, along with James Jacobson, the man with no nose, are arrested for trafficking. So where does Abercrombie fall? In 2001, a new Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire comes out. In the movie, there's this school bully. He's not even the villain of the movie. He's just a school bully. He's an obnoxious, dumb, loud jock, like a caricature. Interestingly enough, in every single scene, he is purposely dressed head to toe in Abercrombie. One former employee at Abercrombie said, that's when he knew the brand was going to fail. That's when he knew. Because that's not looking good. That's no longer a cool person.
Oh, because he's a bully and he's not a posh teenage. Okay.
Really?
However, one expert disagrees and believes that Twilight was the start of the downfall of Abercrombie.
Oh.
They said that after that movie, quote, pale, skinny hipsters were in trend, not beefcake dudes. Which is kind of a wild statement to make. But the point being, nobody cared for logos and branding anymore. In fact, wearing giant logos made...
We are going a little bit back and forward. Like, we're talking about the dude being gay for a minute. I mean, if they're sexually assaulting male models, most of them, and us, I mean, I don't know where I mean, that guy was a different case. I'm not sure like why we talked about that and moved on. We talked about a painting and where he's gay. What does this have to do with anything? And then we hop onto the Spider-Man. I get what she's trying to say here with the Spider-Man and Twilight though. She's trying to say that the image they have portrayed and created for so long is no longer relevant. It is changing to something else. It's changing to be for hipsters, and it's changing to bullies instead of posh, rich, white teenagers that are perfect and hot. You know, and I can see also, by the way, you can't really see it, but this part here has a lot of people replaying it because I guess people were a little bit confused. What the fuck is going on?
You uncool, made you someone with no style, with your own personal taste. Bad quality probably didn't help either. One former employee said, we were forced to wear their leather sandals with no support or padding. Over time, employees' feet actually flattened. And then I hated wearing those tight pants or jeggings. They were so tight and you would get yeast infections and you can't move well enough to do your job. The dye on the jeans would actually make your legs turn blue if you wore them long enough. That's how the products were feeling, but they're asking for premium prices. On top of that, another former employee states, at some point, those kids that learned it wasn't cool to be bullied growing up, they grew up and they decided they didn't want to spend money at a place that made them feel bad. Exclusion just stopped being cool. There were these criticisms that Mike Jeffries is losing touch with keeping up with the customers' changing taste. He didn't lower prices at all during a recession. Abercrombie and Fitch no longer felt cool and exclusive. It just felt expensive. The brand was becoming, frankly, irrelevant, and shareholders were not happy that Mike Jeffries was leading the brand into irrelevancy, but was still paying himself $40 million a year.
Yeah, that makes
And I
sense.
guess he could feel it, that he was going to get ousted because he just quits out of nowhere. After 22 years, he resigns. Nobody hears from him again. His 22-year reign of the company is over, and he's not even walking away empty-handed. He leaves with a $27 million retirement package.
That's a lot of money.
And now he is being charged with trafficking.
But the guy is old. Like, he's really old. He's probably gonna die soon. Like, he is, I don't know how old he is, but he looks like he has 10 years up to him and it's over. I don't know.
There are civil suits
It's just a shame that it has taken so long for him to be charged.
out against him as well, and it appears that he is going to be fighting all of them. He has pled not guilty, and I think likely the argument is going to
No
be
problem.
that
Go make sure your wife is happy, Rob.
everybody consented. What's so insidious about all of this is I believe there will be a lot of victim blaming coming from the defense on this one. During the BBC investigation, they reached out to Mike Jeffries for comment. His attorney said, Mike Jeffries is an 80-year-old man and retired. In the years past, he has chosen not to comment on media reports, documentaries, and stories of any kind as they relate to his personal life, and does not plan on doing so now. Since his arrest, his attorneys have kept the same tone, stating, "We will respond in detail to the allegations when appropriate, but plan to do so in the courthouse, not in the media." Many of the male models feel like it's going to be a very uphill battle. Barrett, one of the victims, says, no one was forcing me there with chains and pushing me into a room and ripping my clothes off the way that we often think of sexual abuse and it being violent, right?
It was a power abuse. You were trying to get into an industry and this was your only key, your only way. And if you declined, you would be separated and segregated from that industry entirely. It is a pure power abuse. And it doesn't matter if they are physically touching you and taking off your clothes, or they're basically telling you to do that and you feel forced. Both situation will make you feel inhumane and used. Both of them.
I wish it was that simple to say no. Did I want to kiss Mike Jeffries? No. Did I want to engage?
And you will probably have someone say you could just move on and say no. But you are not in the situation. You do not understand.
Activities in front of him? No. Did I just want to leave? Yes. I think part of me disassociated. So yeah, I didn't say no, but I didn't say yes either. I didn't have control. This experience, I think it broke me. I think this stole any ounce of innocence that I had left. It mentally messed me up. But with the language I now have today, I can sit here and tell you that I was taken advantage of. Another victim states, on one hand, I guess I could have left at any point, right? There was nobody there with a gun to my head. But on the other hand, it was like, this guy is the gatekeeper and he's telling me he has the keys. I was so scared. I just wanted it to be over. I was like, what do we do so that I can get this over with so that I can leave? Additionally, it's very hard for victims to come forward because they felt like it makes them look bad. One alleged victim states, there's an immense amount of shame associated with this idea that you're not.
That's exactly true as well. A lot of victims don't even tell people about it because they don't want to be portrayed of somebody that has been essayed or have been victimized in this scenario, because that will be a portrayal of their of them now. People will know this now. This will be the view people have of you now. This has happened to you. And a lot of people just wish to forget it and try to move on. Now, it's hard to forget, but it's harder to forget when people will always know it, that this happened to you, and will remind you or say sorry or stuff like that, Saying no is basically saying GG to your whole career. Yeah. Imagine being very invested to your career, and then if you say no, you will lose it all. What are you going to do? Now you got to start from the completely new and you don't know what to do. This was your life. This was your job.
A masculine man if you've been molested or taken advantage of by another man. One legal expert says it's very normal that many of the victims went back. It's extremely common. You know, the reasons you normally see for returning is, one, I already did it. I did it. They broke me down. I have no self-worth anymore. I have no self-esteem. I feel worthless. Number two is the money. Okay, I got money. Sometimes they were paid like $2,500. I want to make sure I can justify what happened to me. And the third is the carrot. You've already come this far. You've already gone through something so terrible. But if you turn back now, you're not going to get the reward. You're not going to
get... Yeah, it's like if you've done it once, you can do it again. Right? Oh, this is a completely different way of thinking. But like, have you seen those gacha games or those video games that are like a $1 bundle in them? And then they have a $100 bundle. But they will get you to spend $1. They will try to give you some kind of weird, interesting bundle. If you first time purchase, you basically get something. But the thing is about it is to get you the first hook. If you buy once, you will buy again. And then maybe if you buy $1, you will feel more comfortable now because you spent once money to buy the $100 bundle or the $50 bundle or the $20 bundle. Now you can spend more money because you've done it once. You spend $1. Now you already put your information in there. Now why not spend more? And the same idea goes for anything like this. If this has happened to you before, what if it happens again? I mean, it has happened again. It has happened to me. The worst has already happened. It won't really change things if it happens again. Like, a lot of people get that mindset.
At the campaign. One male model turned journalist said, the industry grooms you for this kind of stuff. He says, you're told over and over and over again that if people don't want to have sex with you, how could you be a good male model? That means they don't find you beautiful, which means your whole career is kind of pointless because you're not a beautiful model. To the point where he says, I always wanted people to like me. I would almost get offended if they didn't want to have sex with me. That's how I got groomed. That's how it worked in my mind. I didn't even realize how bad it was until I got out.
They broke you.
Wow.
And when it happens, the models hate it. They don't want it, but they try to reason with themselves. One casting director states, models are treated like shit. Just because some model posed for an overly picture, that doesn't mean he or she is who that picture is. It's a complete insult to anyone who has ever been put in a compromising position to say anyone could have just walked away, gotten up. That is not true. One victim states, Jeffries was the kingpin. If it wasn't for him, like none of this would have existed from what I can tell. It's alleged that this is what Mike Jeffries wanted. He was the king of the castle. Matthew Smith was the one coordinating all of it. And James Jacobson, the man without the nose, was like a recruiter, like a little recruiting agent. He never formally worked with Abercrombie. He was the intermediary. He would reach out to models and say, hey, you want to meet the CEO? But first, you got to meet me in a hotel room before I let you go meet them.
And he will assay them too.
Allegedly, yes. One alleged victim said, it flowed like a business would flow. It seemed very professional. I would wager that this involved a few hundred people, if not more, to coordinate all these fake casting calls, hotels, flights.
Let's be real. It's not just 3 guys. It's everybody underneath them that are working there as well. Everybody knows it. Of course, everybody knows it. Like, let's be real. It's just not just because the CEO says something doesn't know like who's going to guide them. Of course, everybody fucking know what's going on.
In a lawsuit from the victims, they allege the venture had everything a trafficking organization needed: funding, infrastructure, the appearance of legitimacy, and a complicit corporate institution. And I guess the feds are coming down now. One of the victims, David, was asked by the BBC what message he would have for Mike Jeffries and Matthew Smith if they're watching. And he says, was it worth it? Was all of this worth it? Did you get what you needed? Do you remember me? Abercrombie, the company, has stated that they were not aware of the allegations of sexual misconduct and that their new leadership had transformed.
And you know what's the most fucked up part? I bet they don't even remember him because they've done this to so many people. Like the number is probably faded.
Company into, quote, values-driven organization that we are today. Some of the victims are not so certain. They believe there are allegations out there that Abercrombie, at least many of the employees knew, that there was some hush money paid out to some victims through Abercrombie's funds. but it's unclear. Side note, Abercrombie has shifted its brand imaging. They now sell women's sizes up to 32. When Mike was in charge, they did not go above a 10. And it's working. Interestingly enough, Abercrombie was doing really well last year in 2023. Their stock performed better than Nvidia in 2023.
What?
Huh? Better than Nvidia in 2023 during the AI spot. What the fuck?
Yeah.
No way.
Fascinating. They were the top performing stock in the S&P 500 index for 2023.
You're kidding
I'm
me.
being so for real.
What do you mean?
Yeah, they performed better than Nvidia.
So what happened? Like the store came back just...
Yeah, but that's because it tanked in 2010s. What, that doesn't have anything to do with it doing better in 2023.
Start killing it.
They went viral with their sizing inclusivity and their new branding. They said that they were in a very interesting position because everybody already knew the name Abercrombie and Fitch, so they didn't need to bring awareness. They just needed campaigns to show the shift in branding.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very interesting. People say that
There is a truth to shift of leadership, and shift to branding is definitely getting investors more highly interested. Yeah, it does. It does, yeah. All of those old problems are no longer the problem of the company.
that they are intrigued to see how it shifts again because their target demographic right now, their main audience are millennials, and they wonder how that'll work to now include Gen Z into their marketing.
Oh,
Mike Jeffries has pled not guilty, which means, like I said, there's going to be a trial. And he has, interestingly enough, been released on a $10 million bond, which is a fifth of Diddy's bond proposal that has been rejected multiple times. I will say there's likely a few reasons why Mike's bond was accepted while Diddy's was not. First being, I mean, yeah, we do have to factor in race. Diddy's a black man, Mike Jeffries is a white man.
is this true? Are race actually that big of a discrimination in America? Like even on this multi-million-dollar level situation? Or are we just talking shit? No. I feel like it doesn't matter when we're talking about multi-million-dollar. Like we're talking about multi-million. I think it's a factor when it comes to like, you know, like common or like people under middle class or maybe even middle class. I bet, of course, there's racism everywhere, of course, in some way. And definitely in America where race is so like it's everybody, like the race is so problematic in America. But when we're talking about big CEO billionaires and millionaires, I don't think race is the topic.
But a few other reasons could be.
I think it's power and money. I think it's connections. He probably has better connections. That's probably it.
Severity of charges. They both have trafficking charges, which honestly, I don't think anyone should be let out on bond for. But Diddy's indictment lists a whole list of other severe charges, including racketeering, kidnapping. I mean, they're both serious, but Mike Jeffries' indictment seems a little bit more limited in terms of scope. I'm not saying that the victims were less victimized, but I'm just saying in terms of the indictment and what the feds have, it seems limited in scope. There's also a belief, I guess this is the discretion of judges, that Diddy poses a stronger flight risk and a danger to the community. I mean, technically both are flight risks considering the amount of wealth that they've amassed, but I'm sure the video of Diddy in the hotel did not help his chances of getting bond.
No.
If you're going to do that in a hotel hallway, I mean, it's very...
Yeah, if the guy just goes up and beats a woman in the hallway, I mean, yeah.
hard for a judge to say you're not a danger to society. And lastly, age. Some legal experts think because Mike Jeffries is in his 80s now, it was easier for him to get bond. Honestly, I don't know if these are the reasons. It's hard to say when it's just two different judges. It could just be one of the reasons or many of them or all of them. I don't know. But
No, I think it's just connections. Like age, all that. No, all of the. I think it's just connections. I think he just has a connection. That's it. Like he has better connections. That's pretty much it.
Mike Jeffries has been released on bond with an electronic monitor until his trial. The judge states to him, Mr. Jeffries, you are putting your family at a financial risk if you do not return to court. If the defendant does not show up to the court, your house will go into foreclosure and you will owe the government $10 million. Most netizens are shocked that it took this long for something to be done. They comment, never realized he was exposed long before he was arrested. Poor victims. Falling like dominoes, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Another comments, Cat Williams wasn't joking about 2024. Or, all these elites seem to have skeletons in their closet. It's only a matter of time till they fall from their ivory towers. Why are they just arresting all these people now? All these rings and crimes have been going on for a long time now. Which another netizen feels frustration that—
because it's public. They feel forced to do it now because like this information was not public before, but it's public now. So now they feel forced to deal with it.
Mike Jeffries is so old and he's just now being charged. They write, I'm guessing he had been doing that for years. They always wait until they're on their dying beds to arrest him. He's got like 2 full years of life left anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. Like, that guy is 80. He's probably got 10-year max and is done. Like, you look at him, he got 10-year max. He's like, Donald Trump is nearly 80, and you look at Trump, he's definitely got a few more years in him. But this guy, he seems like he's done. He's soon done.
Another writes, a billionaire—
like, that's why, like, you can charge him, and you're gonna have a court case that takes probably a year, but he doesn't really have that much life left.
Who is corrupt and does deplorable things secretly. What else is new? All these rich guys look like they would be into some weird things. Side note, I don't know if Mike Jeffries is a billionaire. Some netizens are more focused on his looks. He looks like the monster Dr. Frankenstein created. He does have some botched plastic surgery and fillers. And they comment, this is the guy that said ugly people shouldn't wear his company's clothes? He looks like one of those creatures off the Hills Have Eyes. Innocent till—
Bro, I get their comments. Like, I mean, this is definitely plastic surgery that's just like looks a little bit funky.
Innocent till proven guilty, but very guilty of bad plastic surgery, is another comment. Some netizens think that Diddy is the reason that he's going down, which, just to clarify, the 3 in the indictment are, just like Diddy, innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. But also there's no proof that Diddy is involved in any way, shape, or form. But netizens are suspicious. They say, it's surreal when you realize the conspiracy theories weren't conspiracy theories at all. One comment reads, well, looks like Diddy has a new cellmate. Another netizen brings up his connection with Epstein, writing, just say no to anyone named Jeffrey or Jeffries. One comment reads, people like Mike Jeffries and Sean Combs aren't the only ones out here participating in this type of inappropriate predator and deviant behavior. There are others out there, they just haven't been caught yet. Or another comment reads, the bigger story is why cops ignored this for 30 years. This freak preyed on young men for over 20 years and y'all wait until he's 80 years old to prosecute him? Out of here. They are facing 15 years to life in prison. Mike Jeffries is 80 years old, his partner Matthew Smith is 61, and James Jacobson is now 71. Yes. If you or anyone you know are victims of this case, call the FBI. They are still gathering leads and witnesses. 1-800-CALL-FBI, 1-800-CALL-FBI is the tip line. But that is what is going on with the ex-CEO.
How do you call FBI?
Abercrombie and Fitch.
Yeah, well, like, he's 80, so it sounds like he's been doing this his whole life.
Yeah.
And he almost got away with it.
This shit has been done for ever since they started the business. Bro has been doing this since he was probably 30 or 40 years old. They have done this more than the half of their life. It's just being talked about now and they're getting charged. They're done. Like their life, they're already over. Like the one that's 61, yeah, he's probably going to face prison for a few years. Well, it's over. I mean, the same with Diddy. Diddy did it for fucking ages, man. Did it for 20 years. But these guys have probably done it even longer.
And yeah, he might still just get away with it.
Right.
And they wouldn't hire ugly people to work either. Well, they were rich and white in the 70s and 80s. I mean, during that time wasn't like in America, and we're talking about America, and as much racial issues there are in America, and race is such a big problem. I wonder how they viewed rich white men in America in the 70s and 80s. I do. So I bet that guy probably had an ego up his fucking whole ass, you know? And that's why he was putting this kind of idea of how rich teenager white men are meant to behave.
That is crazy. And then, like you said, like if even one operation hundreds people know, that means in his whole life, like how many people know? It just sounds like the whole industry is.
Oh yeah, there's probably over 100 people that knew about this for years. Probably a lot of people knew about this, but nobody talked about it. Nothing were done. And I bet things were reported, but brushed away because power and nobody gave a fuck. And that's the sad part about it. But we're talking about it now because it's more public. It's more distributed.
So dark, and there's so much of these type of things going on.
It just feels like Hollywood, the entertainment industry, the fashion industry, there's these reckonings that keep happening. And I don't know if anything's getting fixed. It doesn't seem like it.
It started with Me Too, and now it continues on. Like after Me Too, you saw there was a silence for a while. And then suddenly now we're coming back to find out that these things that have definitely impacted more than 100 people that have been mentioned, like the Diddy stuff was mentioned to the police many times. There were people talking about it many times. I think even Eminem talked about it. And it was like, and now suddenly we're suddenly now there's actions for it. And it's more focused on, like, come on. They were brushed off. All of this was brushed off, and there's probably way more.
Seems like you just wait until the next one falls, and then it becomes a whole conversation discourse of like, we can't let this happen, and then it just happens again until the next one. I mean, I don't know what an alternative would be. Like, we're just all on the outside thinking, how can this not happen again? What are your thoughts? Leave it in the comments. And please stay safe, and I will see you in the next one.
I think I have been very critical in this video. I will be honest. This has been a 1 hour and 20 minute video, and we have reacted for 2 hours and 10 minutes already. I have definitely been very critical because I think the business model that are like not acceptable, I guess, in America because of laws and social terms and norms are, it was are kind of like, it doesn't make sense for me. And it's a lot of like, it honestly like doesn't really make sense for a lot of European industries and businesses in this field. But nothing will like kind of brush away the factor that there was a lot of racism. There was a lot of like essays, and there were a lot of misuse of young men that are trying to jump into the industry and completely destroy their, like, dehumanized all of them for the rest of their life. And these are models that didn't just stick around with them, and they probably stuck around with other like places, and they're still within the business. And I bet that these situations, they're always the key. There's always another doorman that they have to go through, and they probably have to deal with situations like this. I don't think this is the first and the last. I think it's happening now, but nobody's talking about it in a different kind of company. There's many modeling companies out there, and many of them are rough. And trust me, there's a lot of them that are just kept under the rug to keep their like their job. It's just how it is. I thought it was awesome commentary, to be honest. I appreciate it. Thank you. I try to react, and sometimes I like to do these reactions where I can discuss stuff. Because I'll be honest, and I'll look at the middle ground of a lot of things. I will look at how like they are, like one side is framing it and another side is framing it, as I have kind of learned from Mr. A certain bald man. But like I kind of like to look at both sides and give my own idea on things. And I personally disagree with a lot. I think that whenever we bring it in points, bringing in personal emotions into play to discuss the topic is not getting us anywhere. But what we can all agree with is that fact that this is fucked up, and this is extremely sad, and I just feel bad for every victim that has gone through this. Very interesting video and great storytelling from Stefan, like from Rotten Mango. This was great. I enjoyed this quite a lot. It was a very interesting story. And I guess this trial is going to be this year or next year. Yeah, abuse of power. Yeah, abuse of power will be in any industry. Trust me, guys. Abuse of power is even in the gaming industry. Yeah, like every media industry. You guys, if you like K-pop, Korean like K-pop, it's there as well. J-pop, it's there in the music industry in Western, like in UK, in America, it's there. It's everywhere. Unfortunately, that is just a factor. It is everywhere. In every industry. You go in finance, there are power dynamic. I have family in higher up in finance. Oh boy, the stories I am hearing, and now they're not sexual. They're not, but they are fucking wild. Power dynamic fights. It's just about who has the biggest dick, literally. And they're all weird, and they all come in different like shapes and sizes of how like people are managing it. Some goes for the essay stuff, other go for all other illegal stuff. But they're all wrong. There are many things that are going around, and this just keeps going. That's when discussion integrates with the when this integrates with when emotion come into play. Yeah, once you get emotional about a topic, there's no reason to argue anymore, because you're not thinking straight. You're thinking with your emotions. You're saying things that you're just feeling. Entertainment and media is very prone to it. It definitely is more there because you have more of stake. You're trying to get invited in. You're not working up there. You're trying to get invited in. Yeah. Yeah. There are power dynamic everywhere. Unfortunately, there are. But you take care of yourself. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Tell me down below what you think. I have been I've given a lot of opinions, so feel free to tell me your personal thoughts down below, and I hope you have listened to what I've been saying. I try to explain my point of view very clearly, and even things that I disagree with, I said were in many ways wrong. Like, it's wrong to think about, but it is what it is, and I think that it makes sense. But yeah, like the video if you enjoyed, sub to the channel and watch more, and come by my Twitch channel on twitch.tv/attlee if you want to come and react with us live. I'll see you guys around. Take care and have a good one. Peace.